Alrighty, guys, we're going straight in, no introduction. So I hope the sound isn't fucked or anything. Who knows? Oh wait, they shouldn't. You're not supposed to say naughty words in the first 10 seconds of a YouTube video. That's not very good. Oh well. How's it going, guys? We have some updates in the Bricks and Minifigs situation. Now this has absolutely exploded, and there's some good news, but there's some bad news. And I'm hoping that there's one clip that's going to save everything because, as you can see, the GoFundMe has gone up to $374,000. Okay, guys. This is eclipsing the actual cost of the Lego set as it was, plus a little bit extra over for pain and damages and maybe any legal fees, which I think they're going to need this money because Bricks and Minifigs have launched a new lawsuit. And this is pretty bad, honestly. And I say that because, and I'm going to get some flack for this, but I'm really hoping that the fast and loose plays that Ben was making don't just screw this up for everybody. And I'm going to go through and show you it all, okay? Tank Rat member for 37 months as well. Hi, how's it going? How's it going? Very good. How's it going over on Kick as well? I just need to make sure that everything's working, just for a real sec. There we go. Make sure you spam those bees so I know that everything's working over there. Now, first of all, I guess we'll get into the funniest things first. We'll lead with some entertainment, then we'll go and talk about some of the problems, then go into some of the leaks that came out today. Now, this is in a kind of a cool move, I guess. This is a message from the CEO of Patreon. Let's see what he has to say.
Dear creator community, my name is Jack Conti, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Patreon. On May 29th, Patreon received an official takedown request filed by Bricks and Minifigs for media and accounts related to Reckless Ben and an ongoing dispute regarding a local Lego consignment issue.
And this is really bullshit to just go after the money. And you can see here he's got the lawsuit. I've got the complaint actually loaded up as well as all the other documents. It was kind of annoying to find some of the documents, but I found a couple of repositories that have everything, which is very useful if you're interested in those. But this, as you can see, in the 4th Judicial Circuit and the Utah County, state of Utah, you have BAM franchising, which is, of course, Bricks and Minifigs, Delaware, as well as Ammon, Matthew, Josh, and Brandon Best versus Reckless Ben, and then Brian, also Victor Nguyen, which I believe is the Asian guy that shows up in the videos, and then 1 to 15 John Does. All right, but let's see what this guy has to say first.
This is the verified complaint with exhibits. This is the request for immediate content removal pursuant to temporary restraining order. And this is the motion for the temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. So after an extensive review and investigation by Patreon's trust and safety team, we have in fact, unfortunately, determined that Bricks and Minifigs can stuff it. We're keeping Ben's page up. And if Bricks and Minifigs doesn't like that, they can sue us. Patreon out.
So that's pretty based. That's pretty based, right? Except, where was this take when it was with Tyler Oliveira? When he's going after the people in New Jersey. No, Patreon decides to take everything the fuck down. But when it's like a safe one, you can see that they're very brave. I mean, this is honestly a win, but I just wish that they held this standard against all other stances when people are trying to get taken down. Now, if we go into... how are we going to go through this? Well, maybe we'll go through some of these leaks first. That's pretty good. What a brave stance you take, Jake Conte. Exactly. Got Chill Station saying, stuff it with a 5. Much appreciated. Now, if we go to the actual, I guess we'll go to this, the court document first. No, wait, you know what? We need some rage bait first. Here's a couple of the leaks that came out today. This is the Fork Police Department talking about how they pulled him over. And this is, I believe, on the same day as the 3-hour search for heroin. They actually admit that their entire goal was just to scare the guy.
Found somewhere.
Oh, that's a bit of a... Sorry about the ear rape there.
Says that Ben, who's in the back seat, sent him here to be a third party because they were all trespassed yesterday. I pull these people over because I watch him try to get in this car, and then he walks away as soon as he sees me, and they pull out and get out of there. When I come up there, they're like, oh, no, we don't even know the guy. We're just driving around. I live relatively close. And then I told them, I was like, well, that guy tells me that you sent him there. Well, he's confused.
I guess what's the goal of...
Right now?
What's the goal? Just have him pick his friend up and They're probably tired of dealing with the police at this point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was gonna scare him a little bit and let him go. Is all I really was gonna do.
That's a woe buddy right there. Just admitting it straight up. Now, why is this all coming out now? You're about to find out. But this is just what an absolute L for the Fort Police Department.
So the initial purpose of the stop, the initial Terry
I think this is the civil rights lawyer, a YouTube guy. I'm not sure.
detention, if you will, was to investigate the relationship between Morgan and Ben. Well, Morgan is gone. He spoke to Ben. Ben said, yeah, we don't really know the guy. So what information do they really have to go on at this point? They don't have any information.
They got
Instead,
nothing.
the officer turned the detention into a scenario where he's like, you know what? We're going to scare them a little bit and then let them go. That's not a lawful stop.
Oh, that could be bad for them. Now, I guess we need to talk about like kind of the elephant in the room, and that is that there are certain things that Ben has brought, like Reckless Ben, obviously, is the guy being sued here, Benjamin Schneider. And he's already presented his full name, so it's not like I'm doxing him or anything. And by the way, Zombie Licorice gifted 5 subs over on Kick. Much appreciated. Now, when we were going through all the information, there was a lot of editing errors that were kind of disturbing me and annoying me. Like you see here, I was completely perplexed by this, and you can see it says like 2019. This all started in 2024, so I've been erroneously saying that this has been going on for 6 years. That's not the case. And this seems like such an elementary editing error that you think that he would have picked it up. Now, it's like some people will say, like, this doesn't matter, but there are multiple of these sort of errors in this video. And don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic video, and I'm very much on the side of seeing the Lego company get what's fucking coming to them. But these little errors may add up. And when you combine it with stuff like I'm going to be honest, there are some points in this video where Ben just outright lies or just flubs, makes things up, or stretches the truth quite a bit. Like, for example, with when he's talking about winning all of the default judgments, that's just not true. He didn't do that. And that was kind of exposed today, I believe it was by Scott Schaefer. Now, at the time when they were making the video and he goes and he's like showing up in his underwear, they had thought that because the judge had told, or the clerk had told them that they could, oh, Jesus, that's a risky frame pause right there. They had thought that because they were given permission by the clerk to move forward with a default judgment, that meant that they had straight up won. But certain errors that they made in the filings and in the actual process on review by a judge was completely thrown out. So he actually never won. Like when he has this big thing up here where it says we won the lawsuit. It says, here it goes. Here it is. Here it says permanently closed. We stole life savings. They sued. We lost. This is not true. Now, will this matter? That's going to be the question. And it's going to all depend on this lawsuit that's coming out. Now, I think the best piece of evidence we have on Ben's side is this clip. And I guess I should mention that if you go to BAM Sucks, which is BAM Sucks 2026, they are dropping over 50 gigabytes of unredacted, at least in some cases, police body cam footage. And this is so funny because what happened is when the police put out their ASMR Cope video talking about how their good boys didn't do nothing, they also released a Google Drive link, which later someone was checking and they found out there was 50 gigabytes of files that people weren't supposed to see. Now, this was downloaded immediately and it's been distributed far and wide across the internet now, so it's now too late. And some of these clips are absolutely hilarious. Like when this guy, Joshua, he tries to take a little peek at the thing that he's about to be served with, but then the cop's like, oh, that's going to put me in some hot water. But there's like straight up lies going through here. It's been revealed that like, not only is this guy running the franchise, but he's also a member of the corporate team. And I believe he has 3 different locations. And it's not just that the guy Amon is the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs. They're actually good friends. So they've been together on this the entire time. But I was looking through the clips and we found, this is obviously features very heavily in the clips, in the Reckless Ben's video, where they talk about the consignment issue. And that's going to be very important. So we'll go through this quickly and then we might go into the video where Ben messages back the response. So he does like a very, very funny sort of response video, which came out. All right, let's take a look at this so we can just remind ourselves here. We have to see this first before we go into the Bricks and Minifigs lawsuit, because what they're claiming, and this is a really dangerous situation, because it's kind of like a catch-22, Because if Ben wasn't playing so fast and loose with the rules, if he wasn't being so entertaining, if he wasn't doing all those shenanigans like breaking the law, then this likely never would have come out to the forefront about just what a piece of shit this company was, and also what a piece of shit the Fork Police Department were being. But in doing so, he has made a potential for both Ben himself and Brian, the original claimant, the owner of the Legos, I guess is the guy's son who actually owns the Legos. They could lose as well. So it's kind of like, at the moment, I've kind of got like a little board for us. Okay. At the moment, Bricks and Minifigs cannot win. There is almost no way for them to redeem their situation and be proven like good boys didn't do nothing. The Fork Police as well, pretty much impossible for them to recover their reputation at this point. Now, at the moment, Ben is the hero, as I love with Ryan. I put Brian and Ben together because they're kind of on the team, and they're also co-defendants on this complaint that's been lodged, I believe, today. They could lose really badly. So it's like a no-win situation. Now, we've also got this Crystal character, and she's kind of like a mystery because one of the things that Ben says is in his documentary, or what do we call this? Documentary expose? Let's say expose or just video. One of the things he says in this video is that Crystal left the store because she was leaving the country because her husband got a job in another country. This does not seem to be the case. What Bricks and Minifigs is claiming is that she was delinquent in her franchise fees. Now, this sounds okay, well, clearly they're lying, right? Well, maybe, we don't know. This will hopefully come out in discovery. It's gotten to the point where, unfortunately, a lawsuit is the only way to determine this. And of course, this was kind of like the plan all along for Ben. But maybe he's going to find out he doesn't exactly want what he's asking for. So I really hope that he hasn't lied about anything else in the documentary, because it could absolutely sink his case. And Bricks and Minifigs is coming for the GoFundMe money, as well as potentially twice as much damages as they received, which is potentially in the millions. So Ben and Brian, the Lego guy, Ben could lose his YouTube channel. He could lose his Patreon, because these are the things that they're coming for in the lawsuit. But Brian could just lose everything, since he decided to recruit this. Like, this is what they're claiming, of course. I'm just making the argument at the moment, because there are some things that Ben has done, such as the fraudulent signings of he's like delivering the duck packages and saying that this is like an item that you sign it and you're like signing away your rights. That's just fraud. The raffle as well was very, very funny, but it seems like since they had an idea that there was never going to be any way they could get the sets to whoever won it, it may have also been lottery fraud as well. These are things that look really bad to judges, which could mean that the judge is going to see this and give a summary judgment, or this could go directly to a jury that doesn't know anything about this, something like that. And that could absolutely sink the case for both Ben and Brian. So it could just be an everybody loses situation, which is what I don't want to see, because that's going to distract from the fact that just what a piece of shit these people were, because they are lying. They're absolutely lying. They're absolutely being pieces of shit. But the real question is going to come down to, where was the Lego? Now, in this clip, it seems like everything that Ben has said has been true, which we should hope so. I mean, not everything he said has been true, obviously, but the most important detail is the Legos. What Bricks and Minifigs is claiming is that this woman here, Crystal, sold all of the Legos, and that she just refused to pay Brian. Now, if they can prove that, if Bricks and Minifigs can prove this in the court of law, then it would be very, very bad for Brian and Ben. Now, if what they say is accurate, if what Brian and Ben say is accurate, and that there were Legos at this location at the time that this happened, and that they just straight up stole them, then that's great. But let's take a look at the clip, because this is a very, very good clip for Ben and Brian's case.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does it have any bearing on the Lego theft? Well, the thing is, you have to prove that the Legos were stolen. And this woman is claiming that she sold Legos but hasn't given them the money yet. Now, the reason that I'm very concerned about this lawsuit, and like I'm very concerned this is going to become like a dog meat, like dog meat 2.0. So Dogmeat was the guy that was like coming out against Mr. Beast, where first he put out this huge video, like the entire internet reacted to it. And then as it went through, it just came out that Dogmeat was basically like a psycho deranged like idiot. It's very close to being there. because of some of the liberties that he's taken in this video. Now, of course, like I said, it wouldn't have got as much reach if he didn't do these crazy things, because it's a fantastic video, fantastically entertaining, and does expose like a very bad company. But the same tools that he's used to get this much attention may be the ones that damn his own case. But, well, like I said, let's just watch this one first.
Hear about the guy on the speaker?
Yeah, that's fine.
So we're both here. So that what she's printing off is previous records from cells. Just so she has a receipt of what's in evidence, right?
Yeah, otherwise I won't know. These are ones that have.
I think everyone can agree. Like the thing is, there's nobody on the side of Bricks and Minifigs. That's the thing. Like they're straight up. They're an evil company. They're straight up pieces of shit. And from the beginning, they've been stonewalling any sort of ability to communicate and resolve this peacefully. That's one thing they've absolutely lied about, and they have told multiple lies on tape, and also I believe in their filings. Is it going to matter is the problem. Now, one of the reasons I said that Ben might get screwed here is because, like I said, he claimed that this woman was leaving the country because she was giving up the store because she was leaving the country because her husband got a job abroad or something to that effect. However, this woman also has a complaint against Bricks and Minifigs from March, which is, 3 months ago, which you would think Ben would be aware of if he contacted this woman. Now, in her complaint, she claims that the Bricks and Minifigs company did all this sort of harassment and things. We can take a look at it if you want. We might actually go into the court documents later. In fact, we probably do have to, just to show you what I'm talking about. But she's claiming that they did things like shut off her account so she was unable to pay them their franchise fees, and then they defaulted on her because she couldn't pay up the $20,000, $40,000 that she owed in franchise fees, which would, if it's true, and that's what happened, that's like, well, that's a big fucking matzo ball there. But why is that not mentioned, I believe, in Ben's documentary? That seems like something he should have known and should have brought to light.
He has not been paid his percentage yet.
The video's a little bit quiet.
And if I don't have the tickets,
all right. So this is an important part. So you have a Ring video, and I believe this. Someone remind me of this guy's name. I want to say this is Kai. I think this is Kai. So straight up on video, you have Crystal here saying that she needs to get the receipts for sales because she hasn't yet paid the Lego man, Brian. That's a very important detail. And one of the things she alleges in her complaint as well is that Bricks and Minifigs took away her ability to check the sales records. But my question is, why hadn't she paid him yet? Like, maybe if it's like the week's sales or something. Like, the last week he's had, they've sold a bunch of shit, but just the last couple of days, there's been a couple extra sales. How much money did she owe him? And why didn't she pay that out already? That's a big problem that's going to come up for Ben and Brian in this thing, I believe.
If I don't have the tickets, I won't know how much I need to pay him.
And specifically saying how much I need to pay him. So, like, this is one of the things that was kind of overlooked, because most people see this clip as evidence that they were aware of the consignment and taking over any previous assets that were in the store. But you can have here, Crystal here is admitting that she needs to pay Brian something, and she hasn't done it yet.
Okay. So Crystal, ultimately, that's a business thing and not necessarily yours. Brandon will take, because taking on the business, he takes.
Now this part here, it sounds like they're agreeing to take on any previous consignments, which you think would be the case for a business if they're continuing to keep all of the stock. However, they may just be saying this as a, boilerplate sort of statement because they're trying to, close out the night or something. Not necessarily this will mean that they're actually legally liable for this. It's kind of a mystery. It's very confusing. This story is a lot more complicated than I think it was first presented. And like I said, I think we're going to have to wait until discovery. And I'm actually, it's kind of sad because it's like going to court is going to spend a lot of money and take a very long time. But that's the only way this will ever be properly determined, because all of the facts weren't laid on the table immediately. And this is one thing I have to criticize Ben for, is that his method of content delivery, and like, this is like, this is his job. This is how he makes money. It's very good for him to do this financially, but it's very frustrating as someone that's trying to like get to all the facts of all of this. And this is one of the things that came up, is that by releasing these staggered episodes, because he was planning to put out part 2 later, but he had to drop it because there was some misinformation that was going around, because part 2 cleared up some misconceptions that people had.
consignment liability.
My want to go through and figure it out. So, I gave you the mailbox and the silver. And then the keys for the back storeroom and the safe are in the safe. Yep.
Yeah, total is 7128. 7182.
All right. So there you can see that it seems the case
If I don't
that
have-
two things, like this is both a good and bad clip for the case, because you can see here that Kai is accepting the knowledge of the consignment and that they'll settle up with things, but also that Crystal is saying that she needs to know how much was sold because how much does she owe Brian? One thing that isn't presented in the video is how much of the Legos were sold. And this is a very important detail because, you know, they're alleging that there was about $200,000 worth of product. And at some point in the video, they talk about this is the estimated value. So it's between 100,000 and 200,000. It's a lot of Legos, you know, it's a lot of Legos. But how much of that was sold? And why wasn't this mentioned previously? Like in part 1 or 2. It's kind of like a question mark. And while question marks don't mean that it's like that Ben and Brian are scamming. Don't worry. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. It's just like, it really makes you wonder. And if you get too many of these question marks, it puts doubt in people's mind. And that could potentially destroy all the momentum that is needed to hold these people accountable, such as the Fork Police Department and also this corrupt company. All right, so let's go into the response video by Reckless Ben. So this came out, what is it, yesterday? And he said part 3 is coming out. Maybe all these answers are in part 3, and this is just a problem that is presented by Ben by, you know, making it like very entertaining into this episodic format with all these like big cliffhangers and always ending on something like, you know, fantastic. That's great for a viewing experience, but not very good for getting to the truth of the matter and things. Also, Rage Queen re-subscribed and Gunterra sent a hype. So this is a direct response to the police department from the Fork Police.
The American Fork Police Department has responded to the video I made about them.
I am the Chief of Police for the American Fork Police Department.
And I'm glad right away that Ben has decided to audio balance this video because it was a nightmare to listen to.
I'd like to address the members of our American Fork and Cedar Hills community regarding some videos currently circulating on social media.
So now I will offer a response to their response. There's a lot of new information in this response that I've been wanting to get for a long time, so we'll go over that first. One of the main questions in my video was...
All right, Law Pope put up something good. All right, where is the proof of this being 200K? This is a great question, and a lot of people have brought this up. If you go to, what is this called? So there is this Proton drive where it's got the BAM court records, and this has the, read me in contact, the warrants, the probable cause, Law versus Goodman versus BAM. So this is Crystal and her husband versus Bricks and Minifigs. But also you have Bricks and Minifigs, Bess, Johnson, that's the bad guys essentially, versus Snyder and Mansell, that's Brian and Ben. If you go into the complaint from Bricks and Minifigs, they've actually listed the sold assets for the Lego set. And this is what's shown in the documents in Ben's video. You can see it's listed as Exhibit B. And you can see here that this is the Lego manifest. So the proof of it being 200K is based off of these values. So you can see here you've got like the Mos Eisley Cantina blue box. It was bought for $105. At low value, it's currently retailing at $250. At high value, it's $400. So they took the value of all of these Lego sets combined, and then the figure came to between, I believe, $100,000 and $200,000. Obviously, there's always going to be some like wiggle room on where these things sell, and you can actually see which ones were sold and not. Because, like, for example, this one, the X-Wing fighter was bought for $64. It sold for $115. Okay, so pretty good, like almost double in price, basically. And you can see some of these are on layaway, which means they're still in the property of the store, allegedly, anyway. And you can see that, like, I wouldn't say that it looks like from this image that approximately, I mean, I'm just going to wager a guess here that approximately half of these were sold. But at no point, as I can recall, in the videos by Ben, they mention how much money that Brian has been paid out already. And one of the things that Bricks and Minifigs is alleging is that, first of all, they minus the cost of this value of these products, which I feel like is kind of shitty because they didn't pay for it. It's like there are some very shitty things that the Bricks and Minifigs do in their filings. Like they're really liberal with the word private quite often in it. But they kind of try and devalue the price of the Legos by about $30,000 or $60,000 based off the cost. But we got Kate McKnight with a 5 saying, the store owner wants to leave the US because her husband, Benjamin, publishes Antifa books and thinks it's not safe for them. Is this true? That's a bit of a funny one. Maybe that's why they left out the details. But like the thing is with this story is maybe they did want to leave the US because of this. However, this is in direct contrast to what was said in the video. They said that they wanted, that was said in their filings. So you can see here, if you go back to the records and go to Law Goodman versus Bam, in their complaint, which was, I believe, I want to say it was March. They brought this in March. So I just want to go down to the date. Was this? March 27th, 2026. They're alleging that they left the store because they were forced out by Bricks and Minifigs. We'll get into this a bit later, okay? And we're going to go through everything. There's there's a lot of information to pass through here, to be honest. It's quite confusing. All right, so we'll go back to this one. All right. We'll do this one first, and then we'll go into some of the issues.
Why did I get swatted for stealing the Legos when this wasn't
Now, I have some problems with this as well. And I mean, I wonder if there's anyone that can answer this in the chat, because the warrant was to search the location, not to arrest everyone there. Were they able to just arrest them? Is that just standard procedure? Some people brought that up as a criticism, and I don't know what the actual usual case is for America. But when I looked at the warrant for the location, and there's some really shady stuff with the location too, because the guy that owns the Airbnb is actually friends with the police as well. That's again, the Department of Justice needs to investigate these police force, and I don't want that to see that stymied by mistakes that Ben maybe has potentially made in this.
Street to the police officers, and they knew that I didn't steal the Legos, that Josh stole the Legos.
He basically stole a $200,000 collection of Star Wars Legos.
But still, why did they raid my house for stealing the Legos when there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that Josh stole the Legos? When I requested the body cam footage of this to try to find the answers myself, they redacted everything, and they claimed it was to protect the victims. However, one of my friends set up a GoPro as we were getting swatted, and we caught the entire conversation on camera.
By the way, police just decides to turn down the GoPro, and this is one of the things that came out as well in the leaked body cams that came out today. I'll just show you this here. So this is a fantastic shot, very cinematic of them getting it. The police just push it down so they can't be recorded. That's fun. That's very fun. One of the policemen actually said, be aware, they're probably going to be filming you as you go in, and just be aware of that. And actually, that's maybe the reason they grabbed Ben so aggressively, because remember when he came out and he claimed that he twisted his shoulder, or he dislocated his shoulder. And I think that Ben addresses this in this video, but the reason they did that seems to be because he was holding his phone and they didn't want to be recorded.
We caught the entire conversation on camera.
Included in the warrant are Legos.
For 3 months, the police department's answer has been, this redaction is important because it protects Josh, the victim of this case.
Also, be sure to hit that like button on YouTube and spam those bees on Kick.
However, we can clearly see that the police are looking for Legos and they saw no Legos. And they redacted this because they were embarrassed that they made such a stupid decision to swat the wrong person. They were so embarrassed of swatting my house for stealing the Legos that in all of the police reports, it is completely redacted. The police department wants this information hidden so bad.
Now, if we go here, I believe this is a record that's been uploaded as well. If we go to the probable cause warrants, here's the warrant. Let's load this up real quick. Take a quick look. Here it is. Affidavit for the search warrant. The undersigned affidavit officer Cole of American Fork. Again, very funny that it's called American Fork. Upon an oath or written affidavit subscribed under criminal penalty declares that your affidavit has reason to believe that on the premises known as the location, a gray single residence home. The entrance of this home is blah, 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 blah. The person, there's Reckless Ben. Where is the actual statement? Let me see. Vehicles. Okay. Was unlawfully acquired or is unlawfully possessed, has been possessed for the purpose of being used to commit or conceal the commission of an offense or of illegal conduct. Facts that establish, and it goes down and actually says here, let me see. Wait, is this the right one I was reading? I think this is the wrong one that I got. Wait, hold on. Here's a search warrant. Okay, here it is. So this is what they're looking for. In the city of American Fork, there's certain property or evidence described as any, this is what they're looking for. Any stolen merchandise, specifically Lego. So they're literally raiding them to look for Lego, which is ridiculous. This doesn't make any fucking sense. And the only reason this happened is because the property owner tipped off the police that they were talking about stolen Lego. But he turns out that he's friends with them, and he's done, I believe, like training with them. I'm not exactly what type it was called. It was like, was it Hydra training or something like that? Something like that, or like it's something that started with an H. But it's basically like stressful situation, like raiding training, I believe, is what people described it as. But this is what the search warrant is for. But they didn't search the residence; they just arrested the people. Doesn't make a lot of sense for me. The chunky, there is more footage of the chunky cat. Don't worry about that.
That they're willing to break the law to hide this from everyone. The only reason I know about it is because the receipt I got the night I was released from jail and my friend's GoPro that was recording. So even though I've been asking them for 3 months why I got swatted,
it might be Hitler.
They finally came up with an answer, which is the Airbnb host told them that I stole the Legos.
During contact with the Airbnb owner, the owner reported overhearing conversations about possible stolen Legos. Specifically, officers wrote in the search warrant affidavit, the homeowner also disclosed that he could hear multiple individuals inside the residence speaking about possibly stolen Lego toys they had taken. Based on that information.
And this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, when would they have had the opportunity to steal Legos? It's a complete reversal of what you'd expect. I'm trying to bring up another clip, and I'm just going to type in the background if you hear the clickety-clack.
Officers added a request within the search warrant affidavit seeking authorization to also search for and seize possible stolen property, including Lego merchandise. 4th District Judge Roger W. Griffin reviewed and approved.
All right, here it is. This is the one I'll just bring this one up right now. This is a quick one. This is just before the arrest, actually. Officer Adam, phone manipulator, admits on camera to an existing relationship and coordination with the Airbnb owner.
Hey, come here. Do you remember we were doing Hydra with the guy with the deagle?
Yeah, it was Hydra. I told you it was Hydra.
Huh? Remember when we did Hydra with the guy with the Desert Eagle? Yeah. This is his Airbnb. He's in my truck right now. Really? I'm not sorry. Yeah. And I told people that. He was like, what the fuck? That's so funny.
It's like everybody seems to know each other. It's very interesting.
They're going to have Orem come and look at these guys to see, because they have video surveillance of all their guys. So we'll keep them on ice until we can start stripping resources. But it sounds like the other shifts rolled in. They're starting to take calls.
Which is good.
Okay.
No, it's Hydra. So I think it's like, I believe it's like high stress, like police training, like raiding people or swatting people, that sort of stuff. Maybe someone in the chat that's smarter than me could tell me what the acronym stands for. If there's any Sean Bros in the chat, I know they know.
Yeah, it was great. And the fact that they were coming out when we were walking up. The main kid had his phone recording, so I shut it off. But
can you do that? What do you mean? Wait a second. I'm not sure. Is there any Americans in the chat? If you're recording the police, they can just turn it off? It seems a bit sus to me. And maybe this is why all of this was redacted by the this is in Utah, right? Like this takes place in 2 places. There's one that takes place in Oregon, and one because I think the shop's in Oregon, but the location of both the Bricks and Minifigs headquarters and also Josh, which is one of the main bald guy that stole the money, allegedly, is in Ohio. Oh, sorry, Utah. Ohio's on the other side of the country, right? What am I talking about?
Gonna give him this copy of the warrant, tell him how it went. Where these douchebags probably have property.
Wait, what did they just call them, douchebags?
Oops, how it went. Where these douchebags probably have property.
Wait, they say that?
Tell him how it went. Where these douchebags probably have property.
These douchebags probably have property.
Oops, shouldn't have said that.
Oops, I shouldn't have said that. And he turns off his body cam, or he mutes it. That's a bit of a woe buddy right there. There's like 3 shit things in that. They knew the Airbnb owner. He tipped them off. Well, I guess there's 4 things. They forcibly took out the recording of the phone. That's why they grabbed his arm. And they're douchebags, and they shouldn't be talking about them like that. That's very funny. We got Moose to you with a 10 Australian. Says, according to Grok, this is only 500 kicks. AUD does not go far. 10 AUD? I don't know. It's like kicks in American dollars, but 10 Australian dollars is like 15 Japan dollars. Also, Winston the Ego Respected for 2 months says, I'm an OG on Kick. YouTube, what? YouTube sisters are coping and seething and snooting and feeding and chucking and fucking and sucking. Yes, indeed.
The search warrant.
I always like giving people the benefit of the doubt, and I will take the police officer's word on this, but something fishy is going on here. And
This is like this entire situation stinks. Also, the Fed next door gifted 10 subs. Let's fucking go over on Kick. There we go.
Can just be cleared up if you unredact the audio.
Big
and
support.
Let everyone see the truth. Also, after we got raided and the police officers found no Legos, all of this footage has been redacted too. And my guess is if the police
Now, this video was released before the leaks that happened this morning.
redact this footage, we will find out the answer.
Well, I guess it was yesterday.
Once and for all. While we were getting swatted, one of the police officers decided to injure me for absolutely no reason. He claims it's because I was trying to make a fast movement.
Don't move like that. You understand me? Don't.
There's the Chonky Cat for you. If you're any of you Chonky Cat enjoyers, he's right there. But don't worry, there's more footage of him we'll get to eventually. This is absolute shit. He didn't do this to anyone else except for Ben. And now it seems that he was doing it specifically so he could grab his... Like, he lied. He just said, don't make that movement. Ben was not moving in this video. He was simply holding a camera in that hand. Now, the police... I think Ben claims that he dislocated his shoulder here, and then he shows a photograph of a X-ray, which apparently is a Google image search. That's a big fucking mistake by Ben, and I wish he did not do that. I'm going to be honest, I think Ben copes and sneeds a bit here when he talks about how his audience should have been smart enough to know it's just for illustrative purposes. I don't agree with that at all. And these are the mistakes I don't want to see, because like these people are such shit that you can't give them any ammo. Because if you give them like one thing that they can dial down on and say, look, this is a mistake, this is what he lied about, and he's lying about everything else, there are going to be people that believe them. That's just the way things work.
Move like that. Don't move quick. Everybody just chill.
When we replay the footage, you can clearly see...
So you can see here, he's holding the phone. Well, you can't see it there, but if I go back a frame, you can see it.
Don't move like that. Don't move quick. Everybody just chill.
When we replay the footage...
Yeah, okay. So Ben isn't making any strange movements, but he is holding a phone in this hand, and that's the reason that this happens, in my opinion.
You can clearly see I was not making any fast movements. However, the police department has an answer to this.
By the way, the people like... Isn't Ben like 30? People say keep calling him a kid. Isn't he like 30?
During Snyder's detention, Lieutenant Adamson took hold of Snyder's right arm. Lieutenant Adamson later reported that he felt Snyder tense his arm, at which point Adamson moved Snyder's right arm behind his back to...
And this is a straight up lie.
...him into custody.
The police department has made it clear I did not, in fact, make any quick movements like the police officer claims I did. So the police officer was lying, but not fully, because I did tense my arm. However, he lunges at me extremely fast before he even touches me. So how could he even know that I was tensing my arm before he even grabs me?
Yeah, and with the recent stuff, we know the real reason was to grab the phone.
That doesn't make any sense. There's only one solution. This police officer has psychic powers, and he could tell that my arm was tensing up before grabbing me. However, this makes no sense, because if the police officer did truly have psychic powers, he would have known that we were not the thieves, Josh and Brandon were the thieves. So this can't be the case either. I'm trying to have an open mind with these different possibilities of what this could be, but literally the only outcome left is that this police officer injured me for no reason. However, the police have another response to this of why I must be lying.
In the X-ray image displayed by Mr. Snyder in that video, a small L is visible in the upper right-hand corner of the X-ray. The L indicates the image is that of the left shoulder. The video shows Lieutenant Adamson handling Snyder's right arm during the arrest.
Yes, the stock footage I used to show what a
See, like this is an L for Ben. He should not have done this. No, I think somebody told me, because like Ben is a slackliner and he has dislocated his arm in the past. Apparently, once you dislocate your arm, it's very easy to dislocate it again, and it's like becomes like a common thing or something. Maybe, but like he should not have shown evidence of an X-ray when he didn't have the X-ray. If Ben doesn't have a medical report for this, he's going to get hammered hard by this, and it's going to make him look like a fool. I mean, maybe I'm overreacting on this, but it's like I just know that the way these people operate, and they're just going to point to this like he lied about his arm being dislocated. He lied about the dates. Why did he say it was in 2019? When like the date it's saying 2019 is clearly just he didn't know how to program the Amazon glasses or whatever he had. But like it's going to look so shit. And some people are just going to take that to mean that everything else, like, why should we trust him about anything else if we can't get these simple details correct?
Located shoulder is an image that's clearly not mine, because I didn't go to the hospital. I went to jail. So how could I have taken this picture? But anyways, the stock image I used is of a left shoulder when my shoulder that got injured was my right shoulder. when I was editing this, I like to think highly of my audience that they would have known that this was a stock image and I wouldn't have to spoon feed every time.
No, this is just coping and seething. I'm sorry. This is really bad, in my opinion. Like, what do you mean you showed an X-ray and you just expected your audience to know that it was a stock image? That's just some bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm very much on Ben's side here, but he can't be making these elementary mistakes.
Detail to my audience. But now I realize that there's another portion of my audience called the American Fork Police Department that maybe I do have to spoon feed every single piece of information to.
All right, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you think that Ben is right about this? Press 1. If you think that it was a big mistake, press 2. Okay. I'm sorry. If you say like, well, I just expected you to assume it was a stock, like, no, why would I expect that? You said that you dislocated your shoulder, and then you showed an X-ray of a dislocated shoulder. You've been showing documents throughout the entire video as proof of what you're saying is accurate. Why would we know that this one was? This is just, I'm sorry. Like, it's fine. You know, maybe it's just an editing choice. I get it. I know why he did it, but it's an L, and it's going to give his opponent some ammo, which is a big mistake from him.
So I'm going to use this as constructive.
It might be a mistake, but it's a nothing. It might be a nothing burger. I don't know. I feel like there's too many mistakes at this point that make it very easy for. So you have this guy. Okay, here is the mistakes that Ben has made. He has multiple editing timeline errors, which don't make any sense, which he could have edited out very easily by just zooming in the screen by 5% and then adjusting the crop a little bit. He apparently lied about having his shoulder dislocated, or maybe he did dislocate it, but he never went to the hospital for it. So there's no evidence of that. He committed lottery fraud, potentially. He committed signatory, I'm not sure what you call it, signatory fraud. Like, you can't fraudulently you can't just show up at someone's house with a package full of ducks or whatever, have them sign for the box, and oopsie daisy, you just sold your soul to me. That doesn't work like that. Like, even when we saw it the first time, I was like, that's not very good. So you have him committing these lies and these fraud and admitting to committing illegal activities. He says, like, we're going to have to do something illegal. This comes up in the court, it's going to make him look like a fool. And what if the judge just says, look, you've got this clearly dishonest person that's bringing all of these fraudulent cases, like harassing this company and doing all of this stuff. We're just going to give you default judgment on this case. And then suddenly they lose all of the money from the Patreon. They lose all of the money from the GoFundMe. I believe there's actually even a request in the complaint that Ben divests himself of all of his associations with his YouTube channel, which is a crazy thing to ask. But maybe it gets granted. Who knows? It's pretty bad. How old am I? I'm like less than a decade older than this guy. All right, stop. I'm not old, chat. I'm in my prime. We got Podlucky saying, "Give me back my Legos, kiddies." We got Shadow with a 20. Not sure if his message was removed or something. We got the Fed next door resubscribed. And also Billy Oki says, I now own your soul and left foot. Why, I didn't agree to that. Did you trick me with a package? I'm definitely unk status at this point. But everyone that was telling me this, like, I thought this guy was like 20 or something. I was like, all right, maybe he's a 20-year-old kid. He's making some. No, he's like, this guy's like 30.
And in every single episode going forward now that I know that the American Fork Police Department's watching, I will be forced to spoon feed every single detail. As a professional slackliner,
I mean, yeah, again, this is just code.
Dislocating my shoulder is almost a monthly thing for me.
The whole weight of my arm is just on this bone.
Boon. 3 days before I got arrested, I had
Okay, but we don't know that. Like, right?
Really bad ski accident where I had a really bad dislocation of my shoulder, and any movement at all would have dislocated it. So I will say here, I don't think that the police officer was purposely trying to injure me. I think to a normal person, this would have been fine. But for me in particular, this was not good, but it was still unjustified. And the police officer was just making up an excuse, and now they're making up an excuse to defend it.
Well, like, we know with context now that the reason they did this was specifically to remove the recording from his hand. So yeah, the police were in the wrong here, but this, like, these small details is the things you can't do when you're trying to take down these like giant corporations. And this is a giant this is a $400 million company. Like, I didn't realize how big it was when we started this all. And that's what's like so mind-boggling about this entire situation, really, is that why are they risking potentially millions of dollars? Because I would assume that they've already taken millions of dollars worth of reputational damage to try and save what they are alleging is $60,000 to $80,000. Now, of course, the YouTube title is like $200,000, but even at $200,000, you don't need a genius to know that just giving the man some Legos or giving him that much money would have been a much better idea than engaging in all of this. And it seems like they're just going to do this because they're just being stubborn. Torgo the White says that Reckless Ben is Napoleon Dynamite maxing. Yeah, he is a little bit.
Another thing I
You go, wait until I grow out my hair like this. You guys will be calling me like a kid as well, okay?
find shocking is the chief of police, even after reviewing the dash cam footage, says that we ran a stop sign.
Richardson initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle for failing to stop before the stop line at a stop sign and failing to stop completely at that stop sign.
The chief of police looked at this video and said, we ran a stop sign. And now he's using that to say, this was a legal traffic stop. The police officers did nothing wrong.
Again, this looks really bad for the police. Okay, so Ben's coped a little bit. I wish he just admitted that he was wrong on that shoulder point, but it's fine. Doesn't matter at this point anyway. This looks really bad for the police department with the knowledge that they just wanted to scare them. They literally said that.
Point, we thought the best thing to do was to take Josh to court so he can be legally accountable for the crimes he committed. However, to do that, we are first required to serve him court papers. So we did what the law told us to do. I got a process server and we went to his house.
Now, the thing with the process server,
court paper, legally accountable, nothing wrong. At this point, we thought the best thing to do was to take Josh to court so he can be legally accountable for the crimes he committed. However, to do that, we are first required to serve him court papers. So we did what the law told us to do. I got a process server.
All right, so this chick, allegedly they met on that day. Now, to be a process server in Utah, you just have to be over 18 and also be unaffiliated or unbiased to the party that you're serving for. So if they met this random chick that day, maybe she's just an Uber driver, I don't know. That's perfectly fine. And there's actually a clip that's been released in part of the leaks from the police department that state that she is like a part of their team or something. Now, we don't know, but she was at the arrest location, which makes me wonder if that was the first day she showed up or if they're lying about knowing her again. Again, these are the kind of mistakes that I'm very concerned about because Ben says in his video that they've just met her today. She's not affiliated with their crusade against Bricks and Minifigs, but then she was also one of the individuals that was arrested. So were they arrested the same day? Or was she starting to hang around with them and join their team or something? Like, what is the relationship there? If it turns out that they actually have a very strong relationship and they, like, I don't know, even if they've just known each other prior to this day, then that's another thing that Ben has potentially made a bit of a whoopsie-daisy on.
And we went to his house to do this the legal way. However, Josh did not want to do this the legal way and instead called the police on us.
Joshua Johnson contacted police and reported he was going to shoot someone as a result of the ongoing harassment.
Now, this part is just crazy because the Joshua guy says he's like, oh, I'm going to shoot these guys if you don't come and get them. But then they arrest the other people. How does that make fucking sense? And how did they think that this was a good idea to say this?
Multiple officers immediately responded to the area.
Josh was so scared of going to court that he would rather shoot us than accept these court papers. Josh's logic here is that if he...
Being a process server isn't as straightforward as that. Apparently in Utah it is, based off a rudimentary Google search. When I search for Utah process, what is a process server in Utah? And again, this is the overview. Maybe it's not totally accurate. It says, any eligible adult, any person who is at least 18 years old and not party to the lawsuit, meaning you cannot serve the papers yourself. It seems like sheriff, law enforcement, deputies, constables can also be servers. There's also professional process servers or private investigators. But it says that any eligible adult, anyone that's above 18 and not affiliated with the lawsuit.
Can murder the process server, and if he can murder me, then he can get away with his crimes because there'll be no one to sue him in court. However, sadly for Josh, murder is illegal. And now he just admitted his plans to the police officers. The American Fork Police should at least be arresting Josh for trying to use murder as a way to get out of court. But sadly, for some reason, they arrested me instead.
Process servers don't do ride-alongs. I mean, this is one of the issues, is that what is she doing? What is her existing relationship with Ben? And why was she at the location when she was arrested? When they're all arrested?
Am I being arrested? Really?
Something about this seems off, and all of the answers are in the body cam footage. However, they redacted all the body cam footage. So this is where I think if we all come together as a community, we can somehow convince the American Fork Police Department to unredact this footage so we can find out why they arrested me.
She asked him to go because she was scared to go alone. That's not a good reason.
And not the guy who threatened to murder me. However, the American Fork Police does not want to unredact the footage.
If you're afraid to serve a legal paper, you should not be a process server.
Now have made up a new excuse of why I was the one justified being arrested.
Officer Sumbot contacted the Marion County Circuit Court in Oregon to verify the legitimacy of the paperwork. The court confirmed that the case was indeed legitimate, but that papers had already been served and no hearing date had yet been scheduled.
The police department said the reason they arrested me and not Josh this day is because they called to confirm if this was a real court case, and they said it was real. However, the papers have already been served, and now I'm doing this solely to get YouTube content. And if that's true, I would like to see footage of it. They released all the raw footage, and that part doesn't seem to be in the raw footage.
He asked the cops to give them the papers. I think the cops volunteered that they could do that, right? But they're not obligated to serve your papers for you, though they can be process servers. They're not obligated to do it. It seems that the police knew what they were doing, though, because in the redacted clips that we're going to check out next, they specifically say, when Josh is like, can I have a peek? He's like, that could put me in hot water, because he knows that he would get in trouble if he allows you to read through the court complaints or whatever, and then give them back without serving them.
Footage?
It's already been to court, or are you allowed to tell me kind of where they're at with the case?
There is no hearing date set, and there hasn't been a hearing in the case yet. All I see is the claim that was filed. I don't see proof of service or anything. A hearing wouldn't be set until a response is filed by defendant.
Okay, so the defendant needs to be served with papers before the case will, I guess, start?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your help. That's all for today. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, bye.
Now, the cops get mad about this point, which again, just showing you the point of corruption.
Right here, the police officer admits that it is March 10th.
On March 10th, 2026.
However, you can see here that Josh doesn't get served until 3 days later, March 13th. So how could Josh have already been served on March 10th if he didn't get served until March 13th? Unless Josh is a time traveler. There's only one way to clear this all up. American Fork Police Department, show me the time machine. So now they say that I have done all the check marks which constitute stalking. Let's go through them.
Individual commits stalking if the individual intentionally or knowingly engages in a course of conduct directed at a specific individual.
So yes, I did do an action that was targeted at a specific individual, but that's what's required by the court if I want to take someone to court.
And this I think is bullshit, that he's using the police to hide from being served. Absolutely.
If someone steals your stuff and you go through the legal process to take them to court, it is not considered stalking. I have a right as an American to sue him.
Is reckless as to whether that course of
there's one point where in the leaked redacted videos where Josh is saying that this is improper service because you have to send it to a law firm and then the lawyers have to serve you, which is just not true. But we got Redline F80 with a 20 says, have you seen Bronca's video on this? I haven't. He talks about how if the franchise changed hands while the Legos are there, the new owner isn't stealing the Lego collections by law, not defending anyone. They're just lying in ways. IMO. Bronca's usually pretty good with his legal takes, but you don't just inherit everything inside the building. Like if the Legos are consigned to this store, they're still the property of Brian. You don't just get to keep everything inside the store. I'm sure that Bronca wouldn't have made this point. I think I'm either misreading this or maybe you are. Let me see. He talks about how if the franchise changed hands while the Legos are there, the new owner isn't stealing the Lego collection by law. I mean, if the Legos company took over the store, the property inside the store that does not belong to them, they can't sell the property that doesn't belong to them. That would be stealing. At least as I understand, that's the only logical way that makes sense, right?
Conduct would cause a reasonable person.
Now the store may not inherit the previous consignment. That would be, maybe that's what he means, or maybe that's what you mean. I'm not sure. If you'd like to follow that up, I'd be curious to know what you mean by that. Like, it seems like they do accept the previous consignment. However, they're not necessarily required to. Depending or not, because this is a private consignment deal with either Crystal or the previous iteration of the franchise. But there's no situation where they just get to keep the Lego and not pay out the guy that owns the Lego. The real question is, was the Lego actually there at the times that it changed hands? And the argument that Bricks and Minifigs is making is that no, it was not. However, that's in direct contradiction with their statements, both in the recorded phone calls that they had and in the Ring camera footage, as well as some photos that were taken. And there was also a bunch of Lego Star Wars figures that were sold after they franchise changed hands, which makes it very confusing. And ultimately, I think that's what ultimately that's what's going to decide this court case, is where the Legos were at the time. And obviously that sounds like so simple, like where are the Legos? Where are the fucking Legos? This is the question from day one. What they need to establish, and I think what Brian and Ben need to clarify, is, first of all, I'm not sure why they didn't publish the whole manifest straight away. Why did I have to look at the Bricks and Minifigs filings to find the manifest of the Lego figures? So that's the first point. They need to publish that to see what they actually had. They need to establish what was sold, which Brian should know if he's been paid anything, because I'm not sure exactly how the consignment works. I guess we could look through the... typically how I imagine it would be is if you have hundreds of Lego sets, as they are sold, you pay out Brian on a weekly or monthly basis based on how much of his property has been sold. I don't think you just keep the entire Lego collection until every single Lego brick is sold and then give him a lump sum. That doesn't make sense to me. So how much did Brian get paid previously? And then they can look at that. Because what if it comes out that Brian had already received 90% of the funds, that's going to look really bad for Ben. If Brian received none of the funds, that's a really interesting question about who has the money. Is it Crystal or is it Bricks and Minifigs? Now, Crystal is arguing that her accounts were seized, or the Bricks and Minifigs location account was seized by the main franchise, which prevented her from paying any of her franchise fees, which ultimately determined is what they used to push her out. It's very confusing that these details weren't brought up kind of earlier in Ben's documentary. And maybe he did it for entertainment's sake. That, sure. But again, that's the problem, is that this was made so entertaining, but in the process of making it so entertaining, they may have screwed themselves. And that's my major concern. We'll go through that maybe after this one. We're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch a couple clips from the leaked body cam, and then we're gonna go into the actual court filings.
To fear for the individual's own safety or the safety of another.
The second check.
Who has the contract? The contract is in the filings, but specifically it's only in the filings that was listed from Bam, Best, Johnson versus Schneider and Mansell, which is the Bricks and Minifigs versus Reckless Ben. I believe it's exhibit, I want to say it's exhibit A. Yeah, it is. Ben and Brian have the contract. Well, I mean, it's right here. I have it too. This is the contract between. It's unsigned, and this is like a stupid argument I think that Bricks and Minifigs makes, because I think they make the argument that this was unsigned and therefore it's not valid. But there's also some problems with this consignment. Like any lawyer that's seen this so far has said this looks like they just printed it off of Google and they didn't really get any legal counsel to look over this. But we can go through this and have a look because it's right here. But I think that they should have. I think that when the first video came out, there should have been 2 additional documents attached to it, which was the consignment agreement, and then a list of the manifest with what was sold and outstanding money owed to Brian. Because it's very fun to say this figure of like $200,000, but if he's already received half of it, or if it wasn't valued at that actually, and they just, because at some point Ben does admit that in some of the live streams, because he does admit some of his mistakes in the like other live streams about this. But if you're just watching the like standalone videos, you don't get all the context, which is again making it a bit confusing to follow this. I'm trying to like set the record straight here.
Mark, is that if a reasonable person would be scared, the police are claiming that
right,
since
so this
this
is back to
action
the
made
harassment
Josh
point.
scared, this check mark is complete. However, they've completely forgotten about the term reasonable. And as we can see, Josh is not a reasonable person. This is someone who multiple times has.
And I would agree with this. Like from the very first, and of course they do have the ability to manipulate or show clips out of context, but from the very first interaction, it seems that Bricks and Minifigs, and in particular Josh and Eamon, have been very aggressive with dealing with this Brian character. Now, I believe what happened is that the day after the woman Crystal was pushed out of the previous store, Brian came either that night or the next day to ask about where his money was, which is a good question.
To silence someone by accusing them of being on heroin.
Here's the crazy thing. They told me that they took over that location because
A contract written on a napkin can be valid. That's true, but it's not a good idea to write contracts on napkins. So long as all of the elements of the contract offer acceptance, consideration, capacity, and legality, sure. But if you're writing contracts on napkins, there's a very high likelihood you're going to make mistakes, which may have happened here.
the owners were using the location to fund their heroin addiction.
What? Wait, go back. Sorry, I missed.
Being on heroin.
Oh wait, no, sorry. This is how they got them arrested.
Here's the crazy thing. They told me that they took over that location because the owners were using the location to fund their heroin addiction.
What?
Yeah, and that's how they took it over, and saying they had like a pigeon in there that was crapping all over the Legos, and it smelled bad, all this stuff.
This is someone who threatened to murder.
Well, wait a second. Sorry, I'm confused here. They're claiming that the crystal was smoking heroin because they used heroin as a reason to search their vehicles as well, right? Is this just the same play they've used multiple times?
Who multiple times has tried to silence someone by accusing them of being on heroin.
Here's the
Yeah,
crazy
okay.
thing. They told me that they took over that location because the owners
Okay, good, got it.
were using the location to fund their heroin addiction.
What?
Yeah, and that's how they took it over, and saying they had like a pigeon in there that was crapping all over the Legos, and it smelled bad, all this stuff.
This is someone who threatened to murder me just for trying to serve him papers. This is not a reasonable person. It is not reasonable to threaten to murder someone just for serving papers. A reasonable person would accept the papers. So that second checkbox does not meet the requirements. I even tried explaining this to one of the police officers early on.
What the law says is if the average person would feel unsafe by our behaviors. So I think he's feeling unreasonably unsafe. A reasonable person would not feel unsafe in the situation.
I mean, but this is an argument. Like, does Josh feel unsafe because of reckless spend? No, but this is something you always say, right? Like whenever you, and it's smart to say. It's stupid, but it is smart to say. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. It's pussy behavior, but it is smart to say that you're terrified, because otherwise the police aren't going to do anything. If they ask you, are you scared for your life? No. All right, then see ya. So obviously you say what's going to help you the most. However, with the collusion that seems to be going on with the police department, it's very, very strange.
Well, I can say the same thing. I feel unsafe trying to conduct business with him, and he calls the police on me to hide. I feel unsafe because of that. Because we had a 3-hour search on our car. He said we had heroin in our car yesterday. We had a 3-hour search on our car. That makes me feel unsafe. I think that's reasonable for me to feel unsafe. It's not reasonable for him to feel unsafe.
So Josh is actually the one who said he was going to murder me if I take him to court. But
Spooky
now
music.
I'm the one that's being looked into for threatening to murder Josh. How does this make any sense?
Mr. Johnson alleged that Mansell had hired Benjamin Snyder to harass, stalk, vandalize the store, threaten to murder the manager of the store.
Now,
Wait, is this true? Is this happening again? Reckless Ben released a video an hour ago on his main channel. Okay. All right. Well, all right. That's convenient. Okay. All right. We'll go to that right next after this then. That's very, thank you, base chat. Like this breaking news keeps happening during these streams. Hit the like on this stream, chat. Hit those bees. Let's get this streamer going. Let's go, chat.
Pulled over by the police, and they claimed that we had heroin on us.
This is true. What would I do
Most of this
without you
footage is
guys?
redacted. So again, there's a big mystery of what happened. Can we all come together and convince the American Fork Police Department to unredact this so we can find out the truth? However, what the police is claiming now is that they did not get a call saying that we had heroin on us. Instead, they could just tell from the second we pulled over that our eyes were glossy.
This is some absolute bullshit. And like, I hate the police department so much for this. They're such pieces of shit. Even before seeing all of the unredacted stuff where they just incriminate themselves further, when they do the stop, the 3-hour heroin search of the car, they pass every field sobriety test. They check the entire car. They do everything. It's ridiculous. And then it's like, well, your eyes look a little bit weird, and I can just sense that you're like, no, you can't. If you could prove that he was on drugs, you would, and you'd arrest him. And then they say you're on real thin ice. For what? What do you mean? What do you mean? You better be careful because next time, what do you mean? For what? It's such bullshit. If the police can't find anything, they should apologize and move the fuck on. This is ridiculous. And clearly they're just abusing their positions of authority. We got Redline F80 says, sorry, I had to find it, but Brunker explained starts at 11 minutes in his video. It would be easier for you to see him than me paraphrasing. I'll never get it all correct. All right, well, is that Brunker's most recent video? Might check that out then. 11 minutes. I'll write that down. Okay.
During the interaction,
But we got a couple other clips to go through
indicated
first.
He believed Shaw's eyes appeared glossy and expressed concern regarding possible impairment.
If we look back on the raw footage, this is what the police officer said his first interaction with us was like.
Good with these guys being able to drive?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't see anything clear as day with Tyler that I noticed.
What's the goal?
Right now? Yeah, I was gonna scare him a little bit and let him go. Is all I really was gonna do.
Do we have charges, or are we just tired of them being annoying?
It seems hard to take what the chief of police is saying seriously.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So just I'm just trying to find the right video. It seems that Branca is going to be debating. Is that MLS? There? The Lego theft debate. Live debate. Truth behind Bricks and Minifigs. Lego theft. That's going to be in 7 a.m. So that's, what is that, 9 hours from now? So there's going to be a debate with Branca. I'm just trying to find the right video. Is it, I assume this is the one how funny stolen Legos can cost you millions. I assume it's this video.
Because so far, almost everything he said is a lie. So the only way we can actually find out the truth is if we unredact everything. We already know the victim's name is Joshua Johnson. Why do we have to keep that protected? His name is already out there. None of these redactions are protecting anything.
Hey, look, we've got to protect our Joshes, okay? No, there's a piece of shit, Joshua. Jonathan Spreewell with a 10 says the consignment states Brian gets paid monthly for the Lego sales. Crystal saying Brian hasn't been paid for the current month. Brian says he was being paid monthly until this point. Okay, that's great information to know. So then the next question is, how much of the Lego was sold? And how many months was the... Well, I guess we could actually find this. Well, I guess they didn't date and sign the contract, did they? At least not in the copy that I have here. This is the consignment order, but there's no date on this one, so I don't have that. So that would be the next step, is to ask how much... or how long did the store have the sales and how many was sold? Because if I really want to know what percentage, and it doesn't make it right. If even a single Lego piece was stolen by this company, they need to make things right. But if it's like 95% of it was sold or something, that's going to be a bit of a matzo ball that's going to be hanging out there.
Except for the police. And now I want to acknowledge my friend Sheldon's arrest.
The group stated they were supporting a GoFundMe campaign for a dying man. One of the individuals, later identified as Sheldon Norcross. Officer Richardson then decided to seize Norcross's phone, pending the approval of a search warrant, in order to preserve potential evidence and prevent the deletion or alteration of any data. According to Officer Richardson's report,
no date on the contract. So what likely happened here is that the contract is signed and dated, but what they probably did is they printed off a copy and they kept the printed one on their servers, and then they sent a copy over there to the main Bricks and Figs or Bricks and Fags company or whatever, and that's the copy that they have. I assume that the one that Ben has and the one that Brian has and the one that Crystal has is signed and dated. This is just the copy that is coming from the well, I guess this is the one that's coming from Eamon and Ben. This is the copy that they have, which doesn't have a signature.
When Norcross was informed that the phone was going to be seized, Norcross immediately
Why is he whispering? Because this is police corruption ASMR to fall asleep to, that's why.
Manipulating the device.
The police officer claims that Sheldon was arrested because he opened his phone to start deleting evidence. However, we can clearly see in the footage, Sheldon's thumb is heading towards that lock button to lock his phone.
Again, this is bullshit too. And these cops are just like power tripping,
His phone was
in my
open
opinion.
when he pulled it out, and the phone was transitioning from on to off, not from off to on. From this response,
There you
it
go.
almost seems like the police officers didn't even watch the video. So American Fork Police Department,
That's a good
if I'm your
reference.
teacher, here's your homework. First off, learn the facts of what actually happened. Second off, stop lying about the facts. No one's believing it. The third thing is unredact the audio that makes the police look bad. Some of the best lawyers in the United States are reaching out to me right now, so eventually this is going to get released. Wouldn't you just like to get this over with sooner rather than dragging this out? The more we drag this out, the more content we get.
I think this is one of the things that was brought up actually, is that one of the central claims is that Brian should have sued them, but he couldn't afford to do so. But he neglects to mention that he could have looked for someone working on contingency. And maybe you could make the argument that like, well, he shouldn't have to pay contingency. Yeah, maybe not. But the question is, why didn't he do that? If he wanted every single cent from the Legos, I can understand it because it's the Legos. Why should he have to pay dirty lawyers anything they don't deserve? Shit. But the idea that he couldn't get someone to maybe like $200,000 on the line You're not going to find a lawyer to just work on contingency? It's a bit... Where's that clip from Lionel Hutz? Works on contingency? No. Money down.
So this only benefits me to drag this out. It doesn't benefit you. If you unredact the illegally redacted parts now, you'll win over audience support much faster.
All right. I think that's the bulk of the video. So there's a new video that just came out as of 1 hour ago. So as I was setting up the stream, all the footage is released and it's 16 minutes. Let's take a look.
Someone actually hacked into the American Fork Police.
All right. Now, I'm not sure if they hacked into the police department. It seems what happened is also gun terrorist center hype. Much appreciated. What happened is the police department either were, let's be honest, they were retards. The police department was retarded and they uploaded all of the sneaky files into the public Dropbox that they weren't supposed to see. And then they're like, whoopsie daisies. But someone was there and saved everything at the same time. And then they torrented out to everybody. Okay, so that's what happened. Or I guess it could have been somebody inside the police department that is sick of the corruption could have also have leaked this material. I don't know. It's a fun little mystery. Who knows?
Department and released all the footage unredacted of my interactions with them. So this is the original footage I got with the redactions in, and this is the new unredacted footage. I'm lining them up and I'm going to keep only the redacted parts to see what they were actually saying.
I understand. This ends today. I know. We're talking more.
Sadly, they weren't able to get the first 2 days where I was accused of having heroin on me.
Everyone here is retired. This is what I'm concerned about. This is what I'm trying to put out here. Like, I have seen no redeeming qualities to Bricks and Minifigs. I've seen no redeeming qualities to the Fork Police. I'm hoping that we can get a certified good boy on Ben and on Crystal. But there is the potential here where there's a no-win situation where it turns out that Crystal was lying and that Ben and Ryan were lying as well. And this no-win situation could mean the end for both Brian and... Oh, sorry, Ryan? It's Brian, right? Brian. I should correct this. There we go. Brian. There we go. Bran. I'm very concerned about this being an everyone sucks situation. Or if there's one person that's absolutely innocent, it seems that Brian is the best character here. He's just mad about his leg. I think Brian's a good boy, didn't do nothing. But by him bringing in Ben, he may have fucked himself. Brian is going to be okay. Well, one of the potential things that could happen here is that Brian could settle with Bricks and Minifigs, keep the GoFundMe money, because the GoFundMe is up to, well, kind of, let me just bring this up for a second. So the GoFundMe is up to $370,000. What I think might happen, and this would probably be a very good move by Reckless Ben, is Reckless Ben uses this money to buy the Legos from Brian. Brian then settles with Bricks and Minifigs, so he's completely in the clear and his dad's treatment and everything is paid for. That'd be a great situation. But then that means that all of the liability is going to be held by Ben, and it's kind of like a kamikaze attack. So he's probably going to take down these people with him, but is he going to get out of this unscathed? That's a question that we'll have to find out going forward. And it's all going to depend on this Lego and where was the Lego and what percentage of it was sold and everything, which they should have mentioned in their video. And I'm not sure why they didn't, since Brian was allegedly getting paid monthly.
But the final 2 days, we were able to see a lot, actually. The footage starts with me going to Josh's house so I can serve him his legal court papers. Josh knows that if he goes...
That can't happen. Brian doesn't own the Lego anymore. Well, he does. He owns it until it's sold, and once he receives payment for it. Now, if he didn't receive payment for any of it, then he still owns it all. It was stolen from him.
Court with me, he's going to lose. So instead, a much easier option is he calls the police on me to prevent me from starving him.
His name is Ben Schneider. He's stalking my house. Will you come to...
Wait, I'm blackpilling his chat on this situation, but not me, although Ben fleeing to Mexico was done. I don't know if Ben actually did flee to Mexico. He was in Mexico. But if you notice, he's like playing on the slack line in the Mexican city. And then he was on the H3 podcast, right? So did he flee to Mexico, like in factuality? Or did he just do that as a funny meme? Because maybe he just went down to Mexico to party and do his slacklining competition or something. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing here. I'm just spitballing. And then he went back to his home state. And he's just maybe he's avoiding service, which is funny, I guess. Because honestly, like that's one of the things is he's definitely like an anti-hero. You know, he's doing things the wrong way, but for the right reasons. I just hope it doesn't come and bite him in the ass because I want to see these people be held accountable. Redline with a 5 says, this is going to end like the toe and neck left it with a shiny turd. I hope not. I hope that's not the case. We got Silky Johnson with a 5 says, I'm from Leahy, Utah, next door to Am Fork. People are pissed. I know tons of Mormons, and they're also livid because of this. Bet Bam kicked out of the church. People, this is probably the biggest story of the year thus far. It's going to be hard to top this one. This is something people really care about. It's like such a simple story. Like on the face of it, like when the police say like, well, it's the Legos got stolen, like sounds ridiculous, but it's something that everyone can identify with because it's your property being taken away and it's bullshit. We also got Billy with a 2 says he's the Deadpool of lolcows. Okay. That's a good one.
House, please, and come get them. I'm not gonna have stalkers.
Are they there right now?
They're on the side of the house.
One of the dispatchers made a note here saying that you were gonna shoot someone.
I'm done with this.
That's what I said, Leahy.
Help me and my family and make her stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
What? What is stop?
Someone.
I'm done with this. Officer, can you please help me and my family and make her stop?
Oh, yeah. Make her stop. Never mind, I heard something else.
Absolutely.
She had a consignment deal with a guy named Brian Mansell. A year and a half, almost 2 years, she had this consignment deal with him, and she.
All right. So this is. I'm not sure if I mean, I don't believe anything this man says, but allegedly the consignment has been lasting for 1 to 2 years. So again, this is a good question. How much of the Lego was sold? Now there was hundreds of boxes. Like this is a big fucking collection. But how much of it was sold, and why hasn't Ben or Brian included this in the original video or in supplementary information? And maybe you bring it up in this video because this came out just like an hour ago.
Never paid him.
So right away, Josh is lying to the police, which we can
All
easily
right.
verify with all of the metadata timestamps pictures that show that the Lego sets were in the store when Josh took it over.
He's hired this YouTuber. His name is Ben Schneider. He's Reckless Ben.
I mean, these are just pictures though. Where's the actual metadata? Are these the photos? So I'm assuming that the statement here is that Crystal took all of these photos prior to being revoked from the premises that very night. If that's the truth and they can prove that, that's a really good thing for Ben and his lawsuit. That's a fantastic thing. I hope it is the case.
Sets were in the store when Josh took it over.
He's hired this YouTuber. His name is Ben Schneider. He's Reckless Ben. They sent people in saying they're going to murder our manager. I'm done.
That's some bullshit, by the way. There's like, I don't think there's any real physical threats. There's been some memes like, oh, the company blowing up or something, but that's clearly just like a editing thing. Like nobody believes that.
What are you guys doing here? So we are in a court case with them, and we have to serve them legal papers.
She is a process server, and she's trying to serve you papers.
She's not a process server.
Okay.
Get the papers.
How could he know that?
They're fake papers. They're fake. Go get the papers.
You okay for bringing those over to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're fake.
By the way, it's really weird how he's just ordering the police around. Have you noticed that?
You got the see those papers? Yeah. So this is what you're trying to serve them with?
Yes. I wish we could just send them an email. I wish we could just send them a phone call, or the court could send it to them, but this is what we're required to do from the United States court. So we're just following the instructions of the government. He thinks if I just call the cops on me, he can get away with it, but we're showing him, like, we're not going to get away with this crime, so.
Okay. You okay if I give these papers to him?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Hey, how's it going, Real and Steel?
Are you okay if she just gives you the papers so we can just get
Have
her?
you looked at the papers? I've talked to the Kaiser Police Department. There's nothing filed. So no, I'm not accepting service from her. Okay. Absolutely not. It's fake.
By the way, there is some feet pics in this, so Jarrett's get out the fuck out, okay?
Not real.
That's completely fine. You have that right?
Yeah.
Literally, all this police officer has to do is be like, you are served. And then he doesn't even have to accept them. He can literally just drop them. But as long as you say you are served, that counts as illegal serving. So why doesn't this cop just do that? Like, this whole thing would have
I mean, they're not under obligation to serve people for you, though. He could have done it. Absolutely. He could have been nice about it. He didn't.
It'd be solved in literally 3 seconds. Like, here, I'll time it. You've been served. Yeah, like literally 1.5 seconds, and this could be solved. This could literally be solved in 1.5 seconds. And this police officer is just purposely choosing to make this way more complicated than it has to be.
Hold on. All right.
If it's fake, then take the papers. Well, the thing is, it's obviously not fake because this guy's like, can I take a peek? He wants to have a sticky beak at it, but he doesn't want to accept any legal liabilities. And I think this is what he's about to show here.
What do you want done today? Besides, obviously, talk to...
As much as you humanly possibly can.
I can screen charges. I'm open to screening charges through our attorney.
Yeah. Instead of serving these court papers, like the police officer promised me he would.
He doesn't have to accept them to be served. I know that. But he does. The police officer does not have to serve people for you.
Officer would rather screen all possible charges for me to see what random stuff they can make up about me.
I'm going to go talk with him, give him his paper back, since you do not want this.
Can you just peek at it?
What was that?
That part is really, like, that's a real cheeky point. Can I take a peek at it, smiley face?
Can I peek at it?
Go talk with him, give him his paper back, since you do not want this.
Can you just peek at it?
What was that?
Can I peek at it?
It kind of puts me in a little bit of a
All right,
bind.
it's fake. There's no lawsuit in this.
But why does he want to see it if it's fake?
So anyway, I'm going to give this back to him.
Also, The police is being very generous to this dude. Like, this is the sort of courtesy they're not showing anyone else in this.
Trespasser. Because here's the thing. Like, think about this logically. Do you think the process server would show up with a guy that's been harassing a
Ben should actually sue Josh. That's what he's trying to do. I'm not sure if this is a joke or not.
YouTuber to serve papers in Utah?
Josh knows that if he gets served these papers, it's going to be really bad for him. And at this point, it seems like he's willing to make up any story he can to get us arrested before he gets served these papers.
Well, not necessarily, actually. So what happens if these papers get served is he's liable for $10,000 because this is the small claims court. He won't necessarily just instantly be defeated and owe the $10,000, but that's what's on the table in this instance. Now, of course, he doesn't want to take a single L, of course, and that may look worse in a larger lawsuit. But that's what's on the table. It's not the entire Lego collection, because they divvied up the thing into like 10 separate lawsuits or something, as I recall.
They sent a lady in, and the lady's like, "Oh,
10,000 is small. It's like the maximum you can claim for small claims, up to $10,000 or $12,000 or something in that degree.
Murder you to Amanda, the manager?"
And now, Josh has just committed a felony. Lying to the police officers about a false threat I made to get me arrested is super duper illegal.
Wait, say again?
Police officers about a false threat before he gets served these papers.
They sent a lady in, and the lady's like, "Oh, I'm gonna murder you to
Yeah, this part here, when I heard this, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Amanda, the manager?"
And now, Josh has just committed a felony. Lying to the police officers about a false threat I made to get me arrested is super duper illegal.
And the store should have cameras, right? So this should be a very easy thing to prove.
Called the store a billion times, threatened the employees.
I mean, we know that the store has at least one Ring camera, which we saw at the beginning of the video, which shows Kai taking over the store from Crystal.
He does not want the paper. So
He's not want the papers?
here's that back for you.
Okay.
I'm not sure what this is. I've never seen something like that. To be honest with you.
These are court papers.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna raise your neck.
Okay, see ya.
Is it in the evidence? It's not. Which really
Yeah,
makes you
process
wonder.
server's really gonna ride with the YouTuber. I mean, how stupid does he think I am? They have fake service papers. And the girl is like, she's like, "Oh no, I got to serve him these papers." Like they printed up a fake lawsuit, you know? And I'm like, "Oh yeah, do you think the process server would really be riding with the YouTube guy?"
Now, I believe he's talking with Amon, which is the CEO of Bricks and Minifigs. And I want to say, I'm not sure if it's in here. It's not here. But maybe it's in this one. There's also there's a very funny website called the Salem Brick Trials. I think if you go into one of these documents, there's actually evidence that Josh and Amon were in. I mean, there's just proof of their pre-existing relationship going back, like, I think decades, when they're both like ministers in the Mormon church or something to that effect. There's like a news article that shows Josh and Amon together where they're talking something about the Mormon church. It's almost certainly on the Reckless Ben subreddit. Although you have to go to Reddit to see that, which is, some of us be in the Wreckage Brothers.
Deliver papers to a guy that he's been harassing. I'm like, "Do you think I'm stupid?" I don't know what to do, man.
So, did you call the police again?
I just don't know what to do, man. I'm done with these guys.
We're ready and willing to arrest these individuals for Utah statutes for cyberbullying and digital stalking, because they're using electronic means for communication and coordinating their stalking habits.
Oh, it's digital stalking, not stalking.
It's all of the above.
Okay, got it.
But because they're continuing to use additional tactics and other things like that, thinking that they're being cute and whatnot, they can't continue. So somebody has to be arrested to show that they can't continue to do this.
No, we're just kind of wanting to know what you want done on this.
As much as we humanly possibly can.
He's going to submit, have it screened for charges with our prosecutors, right, with our city prosecutors.
He is very adamant that he wants to serve you with papers. Okay.
That's fake. That's illegal. You can't pretend to be a process server.
So
you can't. It's illegal.
Why not? In the state of Utah, to be a process server, all you have to do is be over the age of 18 years old. You got to be not affiliated with the case, and you can't be an attorney. And this girl meets all three. She is over 18 years old. I literally met her like 10 minutes before we showed up here, and she's not an attorney. So
okay, I'm gonna take Ben at his words here. But then why was she also one of the people arrested? Like, because she was there, right? Like on the arrest date. if we go, I'm almost certain it's the same woman. I mean, maybe it's just that type of woman. I'm not sure.
In the state of Utah, this woman is a process server. And I already explained this to the police. So anyone can be a process server. You have to be 18 years old and you have to be not affiliated with the case. So if she is not affiliated with the case, she's over 18 years old, that qualifies as a process server. Okay. Well, maybe just have someone not affiliated with you. That's her, yeah. We have no relationship. That's why she's here, yeah. That's why she's here. We have no relationship. And that is who she is, the exact person that you're describing.
That's fake. It is a lie. She's impersonating a process server.
So for this girl to be impersonating a process server in the state of Utah, she must either be under 18, which the cops took her ID and verified she's not under 18.
Do you have an ID or anything like that on you?
She has to be related to this case, which Josh says he's never seen her before, so she can't be related to this case. Josh has verified that. And so the only option left is Josh must assume that she's an attorney. But if Josh
but if she's not related to the case, why is she at the Airbnb when you're all arrested? Now, if it's the same day, I didn't think it was the same day though. Like that's fine if it's on the same day. That makes sense.
Never heard of her before. How does he know she's an attorney? And spoiler, she's not an attorney. But so I don't know what Josh means when he says she's pretending to be a process server. Because
is there a body cam stamp on one of these? There is, right? Hold on a second. Okay. So this takes place on March 10th. Okay, this takes place on March 10th. Now, if we go to the reckless ban, I got arrested. So you're going to see that chunky cat in a second, chat. So be excited. Get hype. Get hype for the cat. The arrest takes place here. Here. Okay, this is the arrest. The arrest takes place the next day. And there's the chunky cat. I just want to verify this is the same woman. I'm almost certain it is. Okay, that's the woman. Yeah, that's almost certainly the same woman, right? So if she's unaffiliated with you, I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe they just started dating the next day or something. It's not crazy, but that's going to be a problem if these sort of things, like if they point to this and say like, oh, he claims that she's unaffiliated, however, like she's clearly one of the crew. That's an issue.
The police officers.
We created a fake contract and forged a manager's signature up there.
All right, let's go back to where we were. Actually, I forgot.
These requirements. She still doesn't meet these requirements. You're making no sense, Josh.
They became friends, Dingbat. I can understand that will be happening, right? But do you understand that you can point to these things and show it to discredit Reckless Ben? This is the problem. If you have all of these errors that Ben has made and willfully he's broken the law, he's made illegal actions. This is even the point of the video. He says we're going to do illegal things. You can just show all of these things. It's just a big list, and it makes him look bad, and it makes it more inclined for the judge to just dismiss this outright or give a summary judgment or something. This is the problem.
Impersonating an officer of the court, that carries some pretty significant,
Yeah, you can't pretend to be a process server.
I mean, everyone broke the law. Yeah, of course. I mean, this is the plan from the beginning, was to break the law and get into a lawsuit. Now they're in the lawsuit, so this is what's the next step of the master plan. Now, hopefully, they can land this without crashing the entire plane with no survivors. That's the situation I'm afraid of, is that there's a no-win situation where the Fork police and I guess like the biggest, I mean, the Fork police could probably get away with this if all of the blame gets shifted to Bam and Brian and Ben.
Sorry. Yeah, you can't. That's got to be illegal.
And that's, like I say, he's getting combining charges.
It's a Class A misdemeanor to impersonate a process server in the state of Utah.
So right now,
I want her arrested for impersonating a process server.
So right now,
I can't just go and pretend. I can't go print up fake documents and go try to process serve people. That's illegal.
So these papers that you printed up are fake.
Yes, 1 billion, trillion, gazillion %.
Again, this is Ammon. I'm with the corporate office.
He's the CEO.
Oh, hi.
So
Do we have the timestamp of when the police knows that these are accurate? Because he goes and checks, right? He calls up and they confirm, the court, county clerk, or whatever, confirms that it's like real documents. I would like to see the timestamp of that shown here as well.
What's happened is we had a former franchisee.
She can't be a friend if she's also a process server. Well, that's the question. Because it says that you can't be affiliated with the case. Now, if the case is just Ben and she's not Ben, maybe that's the loophole there. Maybe that's fine. I don't know. But to avoid any appearances of impropriety, you would want to pick someone that is definitely an unbiased third party to do this, especially when you have these potential harassment charges and stalking charges, in my opinion.
Is just a YouTuber that got a hold of the story and then went to this this guy and said, hey.
Now, I think they actually lie about Ben here, because I think what they say, at least either in this clip or another clip, is that they're making a claim that Ben took this case on because he was going to get a percentage of the Lego fund, which is ridiculous. And I don't know why he would say that.
If I can harass these guys, and if I can do some stuff and get some money out of them, will you pay me some of that money? And that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, this is Amon. I don't believe this for a second. That Reckless Ben was like, okay, I'll take on the case and harass this company, but only if you pay me some of the Legos. This makes no sense whatsoever. And this is just straight up lie to the police.
And then went to this guy and said, hey, if I can harass these guys, and if I can do some stuff and get some money out of them, will you pay me some of that money? And that's what they're trying to do, is the individual who actually owes the money left the United States.
And now Eamon has just committed obstruction by lying to the police officers.
He created a fake contract, forged a manager's signature up there.
We got N Pulse gifted a rage quit. He says, I sent. I don't know what that. Okay, thank you.
Threatened to kill her.
I didn't sign no agreement. I'm not beholden to.
And there's also I wonder if they can get the statement, like if this does go to court, which it probably will at this point. I don't see any way around this. Unless, they could settle, I suppose. It's always a potential. Maybe if there's enough anger about this, they could be forced into settling. But they have that small woman that they inducted into their cult in the first episode of this, where they say that she's like joking about it and saying like the store owners are talking about how do we get these people arrested. You could make an argument for conspiracy to defraud or create fake evidence to get these people arrested, because they're making up complete stories out of whole cloth about Ben taking money from Brian to harass these people, which just is simply not true. And I don't see how they would possibly think to prove that. Unless they just have all the... maybe they're hoping this will come out of discovery. I don't see it happening.
Somebody else's stupid agreement. I like how he can just lie to you guys. Just straight face.
Only Ben and the 10 friends can settle with Josh. That's true, but this is not the case. They're not trying to settle with him. They're trying to serve him papers.
$200,000.
I'll check with the court, see if it's a valid civil case.
Oh, I see what you're doing here. Very clever. You got me.
Trying to push through, and we'll go about it that way, okay?
Thank you for
You got
holding.
me.
How can I help you?
Trying to speak with someone to verify if a case is, just verify if a case is real.
Yeah, looks like a real small claims case in our court.
Okay, thank you for your help.
Why is the timestamp on this clip?
That's all. Thank you.
I assume logically this happens afterwards, right? Yeah, because it's later. It's like, this is like 4:52, but I would like to see the timestamp on that clip as well.
This phone call, I guess the police officers turned off the microphone on their body cam because I guess they really didn't want literally anyone to hear this. Even if someone gets a hold of the unredacted stuff, not even we now can get it to hear what these police officers are saying. But anyways, the police officer ends up going back to talk to Josh.
They're screening some charges, okay? But we're just kind of working through. It looks like this is a real case. It just hasn't.
Yes, this is one of the issues that came up, is that in the first part of the video, it ends with them winning their default judgments on the small claims court. They claim that they won all that. They did not, because they sued the wrong company for it. That's correct. And the judge looked at it again and everything was thrown out. Now, Ben did correct this later on. However, if you're just watching part 1 and part 2, you don't have this context, and he doesn't mention it because he kind of, like I said, he does cope and seethe a little bit, such as with the arm dislocation thing. And it makes it very hard to trust. And this is what I'm concerned. Like I'm saying, it's like it might be like a dog pack, or was dog pack or dog meat. Do you know the guy that was going after Mr. Beast a while ago? Where at first it seemed like he had this slam dunk case against Mr. Beast, and then all the cracks started to show. And this is what you got to be careful of. You know, when you take a swing at the king, don't miss.
Down to court. Okay.
It's a real case. Who's it against?
Against you, him versus you.
Ben Snyder?
Mm-hmm.
What an idiot.
So.
He's just racking up the charges, and we're working together.
So basically the consensus is we were all wrong here. However, let's just arrest Ben anyways.
Like, letting them go cannot be an option here, guys. Like, there's got to be something for cyber stalking, bullying.
Once he told Josh the papers are real, that's service. I'm not sure that counts as service. You can be aware that someone is trying to serve you, but until you actually are physically served, the cop does not throw the papers on the ground and say you've been served. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't think so. This doesn't sound right to me, Elios.
Like all of the different things. Like, there's got to be something to arrest them and send a message that this is not appropriate. This is not okay.
I don't know. If there's any lawyers in the chat, maybe they can clarify. That counts. I don't think it does. I'm going to press X to doubt on this one. That doesn't sound right to me. You can serve someone with a newspaper or radio announcement. No, but this is the point. People trick other people into being served all the time. Yes, I know that. There's like a movie, right, where the guy's like dressing up as like a delivery man and serving people. That's not what happened here. The policeman has the papers. He informs her that they're real, but he doesn't actually serve him. He doesn't give him the papers, or doesn't drop them on his feet. He doesn't tell him he's been served. He says, "What do you want to do?" Now, this is very shitty maneuver by the police. I'm not convinced this counts as service, but you're very welcome to argue that I'm wrong. Cops can't serve? Yes, they can. They can in Utah, at least. There is 3 people listed as... I mean, it's pointless to have 3 people listed as the who can serve people in Utah, because it's just like... It's like a lawyer or officer of the court, police, and then like any 18-year-old that's not affiliated with the party. So it's basically anyone can serve. You don't have to be a registered process server either.
Again, that's why we're kind of working through this right now.
But at no point does the policeman leave the papers with Josh. At no point does Josh see the papers. And the policeman takes the papers with him when he leaves. That's why I'm saying this is not service. Or at least I don't believe it is. Now, he should have served him probably, because he said he was going to. It's a shit move. I agree 100%. But I don't think it counts technically as service.
Hello. Okay. Am I being arrested? Really?
I love you. I love you.
This guy's so happy. It's so annoying, actually.
Oh, there we go. I love you.
He's shoeless and he's toothless, chat, okay? He's also hairless. We love our cops. We love our law enforcement. We love our boys in blue. They're important.
So now let's get to the search warrant, where the cops raided my house because they heard that I was the one that stole the Legos from Brian. So I might have found out an answer of why this cop was so rough with me and threw my arm back. Before we enter the property, the cop warns all the other police officers to make sure we are not filming.
Hey, they're probably going to be quick to film. They're probably going to be quick to pull their phones out, so just be aware of that.
However, when we got raided, I instantly pressed the...
You don't have to say anything. Handing the papers, he never hands the papers to the person. Handing the papers to the person is enough to complete legal service, provided the process server has confirmed that they have the correct person. He never shows him the papers. Well, like, he shows them that the papers exist. He doesn't show them what's on the papers. That's what he says. He says, "Can I have a peek?" And the cop says, "That would put me in a sticky situation." So the cop actually prevented the service from happening. That's what I'm saying. If he left the papers there or handed them to him, I'd agree, but he didn't. That's the problem.
record button on my phone because I was terrified.
All right, I'm going to go back a couple.
Arm back. Before we enter the property, the cop warns all the other police officers to make sure we are not filming.
Hey, they're probably going to be quick to film. They're probably going to be quick to pull their phones out, so just be aware of that.
However, when we got raided, I instantly pressed the record button on my phone because I was terrified these police officers were going to do something and try and hide it from the public. But I guess the police officer sees that I'm filming, and once he sees I'm filming, I think he was like, as punishment for filming me, I'm going to bend your arm back upwards and injure you, is my guess of what happened, because afterwards he says this.
The main kid had his phone recording, so I shut it off. But
yeah, this is a big whoa, buddy.
How many did you get? You got Ben?
We got 5. I know.
Including Ben Stein?
Apparently, Guntera says for Rage Quit, in Utah, you can sue someone for putting their lawsuit in paper after all other options have been exhausted. Interesting.
Yeah. Sweet. That's good.
Next, we got some unredacted
So did they try that? You think that's what they would have done?
footage of me using the bathroom.
This is no. All right. I did. We got any shy pisses in the chat? You need look away.
Another thing about this unredacted footage is we get to see the police's entire office building. We get to see their detective board of us. We get to see.
Oh, they got a schizo board?
Member of the Church of Scientology sucks. All my old school fans will know that.
Wait, what? Did they? So you got all the names up here.
See their detective board of us. We get to see that they're actually a member of the Church of Scientology sucks. All my old school fans will know this, but basically I made a religion called Scientology Sucks, and it legally got approved by the IRS. And Scientology Sucks worships a gold plunger as their god. I even got it tattooed on my wrist right here. It's like a plunger cross on my wrist. I guess the American Fourth Police Department is active members of the Church of Scientology Sucks because they literally put my god on their desk. That's exciting.
We have a felony stalking case right now. Felonies. Everyone's facing felonies.
That's pretty serious shit.
It's super serious.
I know that you've been told all of, oh, it's a fundraiser. This guy stole $200,000.
Yeah.
If that was the case, that guy would be in jail.
Yeah.
So
No,
we're going to use critical.
Anyways, we're gonna fast forward a bunch. So this is basically a spoiler for episode 3, but basically this Bricks and Minifigs company has nonstop been making fake bomb threats, fake fire threats, murder threats in my name that I'm going to murder them. The only problem.
Wait, what? Okay, this is a pretty serious allegation that they've been false flagging. Hey Joshua, what you doing? Sending in your own fake bomb threats? This is why I'm not like. This is why you got to drop the whole season at once. Okay, you got to do the Netflix 8 episodes at once. You can't be spoon feeding us this material. Okay, it's gonna make people ask questions.
Is obviously these are all fake threats. I would never do something like that, but the police think that these are real threats. So now the police from Los Angeles, from Utah, they're all working together now to catch me. Here's a phone call from just a few days ago of the Los Angeles police calling the Utah police of them scheming of a way to get me arrested for all these mischief.
Yeah, I mean, look, if this is true, and if Josh can prove, sorry, if Reckless Ben can prove that this is all true, and then this any concern that I had for an everybody lose situation is gone out the window, and these guys need to be crucified in Minecraft, in real life, in the public eye. Okay, like this is if this is accurate, and he can, like, I really hope to God he has great solid evidence on this. That would be I mean, this is nothing if not entertaining.
Threats that I've been making.
Paul, we got a complaint from a guy in Provo about this guy Schneider.
Okay.
And so it seems like I talked to the guys in
This sounds like Josh's voice.
and the police too are then trying to get a hold of
He's got a bit of a
police.
list.
So it seems like Schneider's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Basically, so he called
Oh no, wait, no, there's someone else. It's a little bit familiar though.
He's just like, this guy's crazy. He's like making threats against us, my employees, our business, etc., etc. It seems like this guy might live in LA, or his last known address is in LA. So I guess I'm just trying to track down like what you guys are doing, if anything. I know, like, at least I've been told that there's technically a couple open cases. This guy's already being charged in Utah by 3 different places. Like, what are we doing? Any idea where he actually is?
No idea. I know we had asked to.
This is a great point, actually. What's so frustrating about all of this, though, is how many times Ben just talks and call a lawyer. It's absolutely insane. No one lawyers involved in it. There was lawyers at some points. He was asking for recommendations on a few things, but yes, there's a little bit of it's almost like it feels like sovereign citizen sort of case, sort of thing. You know, like there's a little bit too much Google foo, a little bit too much Grok AI going on here, for my taste.
Them until we had further, but I'm guessing they just let him bond out.
Yeah, I mean, he is very reckless, though. That's the thing.
Okay.
It's his
problem
plan.
is I'm in a place the American police have no jurisdiction over, so they're never gonna catch me here.
All right, so I guess he's still in Mexico. So I guess I was just wrong about all of this. Or is he? I don't know. Maybe he's lying about this. I don't know.
Good luck finding.
Because I thought he was on the H3 podcast, wasn't he? Or I mean, I guess he could have been calling in. Maybe he's just using a green screen to call in. By the way, I'm pretty sure you can get extradited from Mexico. Not that they would.
You are never gonna find me, police officers.
All right. He's in Mexico. Wait, why is my video being showing up right there? Look at that. All right. Let's go to this Bronca one. That was someone recommended. Where is it? Where's this video? Andrew Bronca. Here it is. All right. So I think it was this one, and they said it was 11 minutes in.
How many times a week were you at the gym getting ready for this trip?
I'm not fat, chat. It's just, you know, Google's just sending me these. Google's just sending me these ads. Okay. All right. I'm just switching over to my ad-free account. Okay, there we go. Carefully, he's tied up. All right. So someone said I should. So someone should I go to 11 minutes? Okay, we'll go to 11 minutes and see what Bronca has to say here. About 11 minutes.
Virtual location where customers come to view products for sale, they get a cut of the sale. It could be 20%, it could be 30%. It could be whatever you agree to, but 20 to 30% would be a pretty typical rate for the consignee, for the store to get from the sale. And then you get the balance of the money, and you don't have to.
Now, specifically, I think what the chatter was talking about is he's going to show how taking over the location would give him the property of the Legos, which I'm not sure would be the case.
to go through the trouble of trying to sell these items yourself. And this is a very old way of selling goods. This is very well established law here. This has been done millions upon millions of times. So the law around this is very well established. We've seen pretty much every problem that can happen. We have an area of law. Those of you who went to law school probably still have nightmares about this. The Uniform Commercial Code. That is a complex set of cascading regulations that control all these kinds of commercial transactions. And that would include consignments. Now, in a consignment, when you're giving the store your property, it does not become their property. It's something called a bailment. It's like if you went to a...
Yeah, this is what I was saying. And like, I think this is the video that people were talking about, that the chatter was talking about. But this is my argument so far. So far I agree with Bronca. When the store changes hands, though, it doesn't just give them license to take anything that's in the store.
Coat check. You go to a restaurant, they have a coat check or an event. You hand them your coat, they give you a piece of paper, and they're saying, all right, we're accepting possession of your property. We have an obligation to keep it safe and make sure we return it to you. What it never is their property. They can't sell your coat. It's not theirs.
Yeah.
A bailment has been created. Well, that's what happens with the consignment. That's what happens with these Legos. So you go to the local store with your Lego collection, they agree to take them on consignment. A bailment is created. They have an obligation to take care of your goods. When one is sold, they give you the money, but for their consignment commission. That's how it's supposed to work. This
so
case
far, an
got very
agreement.
complicated because the local franchise that accepted these Legos lost their franchise. Now, the reasons they lost it are complicated. That's the basis for another suit between the old owners of the store.
And we'll take a look at this in just a second. But I just want to see what Bronx is
And
like.
bam, they're litigating between themselves. But they had accepted a ton of these Legos, apparently. And then they lost a franchise. Basically, they were kicked out of the store by corporate. And then corporate sold the franchise, that location, to new owners. Well, the new owners come in. We don't know what they know about any of these Legos. They didn't individually or even as a business agree to this consignment arrangement. I'm sure when they bought the franchise, when they bought the store, they were buying it as is with inventory. They look around, they say, okay, this is the inventory. They don't know that it belongs to the man sells if no one told them. They certainly didn't contract to take this property on consignment. And here's a complicating factor here. And I know all the people who love this story of the Lego theft are going to hate this. But it's possible for someone to acquire legitimate ownership in a piece of property that has been stolen from someone else. You can have something stolen from you, and then the thief sells it to somebody, and the new owner owns it. It's theirs.
I don't know if I agree with this entirely. Okay, but like this would be a very clear, like I understand. I think I know what he's saying. Like, let's say you have a bike, or well, maybe not a bike, something that's like a basketball. Okay, let's say a basketball. If you steal a basketball from your friends down the street, that's still their basketball. You can then sell this basketball to somebody else, and that person has made a legal sale, I suppose, but it's still a stolen property. Okay, and then that person could sell it again and sell it again, and somewhere along the lines, the original owner gets lost along the way. But it's still stolen property. It's still the original property of this person. Now, it's almost impossible to prove it with things like basketballs, but with things like Lego sets that are itemized and identified, they're very easy to determine which ones belong to the man. They still belong to the man. You don't just get... This isn't one simple trick you can use to steal an entire store's worth of merchandise. I don't agree with that at all. Although I think I understand the argument he's making. I don't agree with him in this situation.
Legally own it. It's not yours anymore. And to the extent you have a grievance over the loss...
But like the idea that you can steal something and then eventually it can be sold legally. Yes, that is the case throughout history. I mean, that's more of a pragmatic argument, I think, than an actual legal argument. Because it's somewhere along the way, it's just like it gets lost in the weeds, and it's just like, all right, well, this person owns it now, I guess.
Property, you have to go after the thief. You can't go after.
And this is a true argument, though. Like what he's making right now, is that if this is accurate by what Bricks and Minifigs is saying, then this is pushing all of the liability onto Crystal. I think this is where he's leading back into it.
New legitimate owner. It's called being a good faith purchaser of an item. Now, in commercial transactions, we have safeguards. We have guardrails on this kind of thing, because you can only claim, hey, I was a good faith purchaser if you weren't on notice that the item belonged to somebody else, was someone's property other than the person who
Now,
sold
the problem with Bronca's statement here is that there is this clip of Crystal talking about some of the property in the store not belonging to the store and belonging to Brian under this consignment. This is a very big issue that Bricks and Minifigs is going to have. I don't need that one anymore. Don't need that one anymore. this video go?
To you. And the way we do this is with uniform commercial code filings. Just like if you have a loan on your car, the bank's name is on the title. Well,
didn't they accept the consignment in the clip? They did say that. They said that they would take on all of these things. But the problem is, if the consignment wasn't legal on the face of it at the beginning, then they wouldn't be able to take on an illegal consignment, which is part of their argument in their filing, I believe.
There's other ways to do this. You can file forms. And someone buying an expensive piece of property would first have their attorney search the records to see if there's anyone who claims an ownership interest, a security interest in this property. They've done the effort to see if they should be on notice that there's some other legitimate owner.
Josh accepted it. They said they say the words "will take over like existing agreements" and things like that in this clip. However, they then later make an argument that it was an illegal consignment to make in the first place, which I don't agree with. I think it's coping by their part. However, if they can prove that argument in a court, or if they can convince a judge or a jury that this is the case, then they could win on that, which is important.
But if you're the legitimate owner and you don't file that security claim, you don't file that document, a good faith owner can come in and purchase that property and now it's theirs. You've lost it.
Now, the thing is, Ben did allegedly go to the store with his pages and manifest the day after the store was sold. So it seems that Brian has made this good faith argument that he was trying to get his property back, which would invalidate what Branca is saying. I think Branca's right about what he's saying. However, in this situation, I don't think it applies.
It's your obligation. And when you put a piece of property on consignment, you're supposed to file that record.
Well, the record is this document here, which would be Exhibit B. But again, some of the details that we do not have is just how much of this was sold. But this is the document. So you can see here it has descriptions of all of the Lego. It has their number, and I believe this is like the Lego set number, but I could be wrong. It's not like he has 9,000 sets, but these are all the product numbers. So you have like Elite Clone Trooper, and it even has information about these, such as like some of them will say like damaged or boxes or something, I think. And it looks like 50% of these were maybe not 50%. Maybe it's like 30-40% were sold. But again, this is information that we're missing. And the problem is, what if Bricks and Minifigs has the complete? I mean, they didn't. If they had it, they would have listed it as their one of their exhibits, obviously. So clearly they don't have it either. But this is the document, and this is what Brian brought. See here, like damage to face, slave 1, wrong arm. Whoa. Django Fett, Slave 1. Don't you mean Fire Star or whatever that shit is named? There you go, no eyebrows on Darth Vader. Wait, doesn't Darth Vader usually not have any eyebrows? Or is this like the Star Wars, the Clone Wars or something? Didn't his eyebrows get burnt off? Isn't that the point? Clone Trooper has the wrong helmet, cracked arm, damaged head. Anyway, it's not important, I think. Okay, I think we'll just see if there's anything else Branca says here, but I see the argument he's making.
It's a $20 form. So that if somebody goes to purchase that item, they can determine whether or not the person they're purchasing it from actually owns it. If you don't do that, you've left the door open for a good faith purchaser to come in and purchase your property. Even if the person selling it is doing it wrong, even if they're a thief. So the new owners of the store may very well be taking the position that, hey, we bought this franchise with the inventory. We checked the records. There was no security claim filed on any.
And like there really should be records of all of this. Like the store, like I can understand if you're a supermarket, like maybe they don't know how many apples they have or something. But a Lego store, I would imagine they would have an exact list of their inventory. That's like you take inventory at a store, right? Not having these records is a major question mark to this case. Now, in Crystal's legal filings, she makes the claim that she was locked out of all of her records so that she couldn't see them. If that's true, then Bricks and Minifigs may be in for a world of hurt with these double whammy of the lawsuits.
This property, we're good faith purchasers. We now legally own it.
Yeah,
and if you're unhappy about that, Brian Mansell, and I can understand why you would be, because normal people, his 83-year-old dad, the son, they don't know to file these things. They're naive about these things. But the law doesn't care about that. The law only cares if the right boxes were checked. And if Brian Mansell and his father have a grievance, and I would certainly think they do, well, then they need to go after the old franchise owners who had the consignment agreement with them.
This is correct what he's saying. But again, we just don't know. We don't have the information. We have a he said, she said at the moment. So currently what's happening is that Bam is saying that it's all Crystal's fault. Oops, where's my red pen? Why did this go to... There we go. So BAM is saying that it's all Crystal's fault, and Crystal's saying it's all their fault. Now, what we can see from this one clip that we do have uploaded is that she claims that she needs to check the inventory to see what she owes Brian for that month. And allegedly he was getting paid every month for this, but this is for it's been going on for 2 years. So again, just how much of the Lego was left.
Maybe after BAM. I mean, there's conflicting evidence over whether BAM Corporate knew this consignment property was present.
The lawsuits are irrelevant. Their image is already destroyed. Yeah, I don't think that Bricks and Minifigs can really recover ever from this. They've certainly already taken millions of dollars worth of damages. Maybe they'll continue as an entity, but like people are always going to talk about this. It's not impossible. They could. I don't see it happening, but I guess they could throw one of the people under the bus, like Joshua, and then say it was all his fault. But then they've got all these clips. They've got all these clips of them colluding and talking to each other. So I don't think that's going to happen.
There's some evidence that suggests they did. There's other evidence that says, hey, BAM Corporate's policies are we don't take anything on consignment. We may buy your old Legos if they're of sufficient quality and we think we can resell them, but we don't do consignments. BAM Corporate is not responsible for the individual actions of their franchisees. So they may or may not have liability here. None of us really know this. None of us really know these relevant facts. So that's one of the clips I wanted to share. Now, again,
all right,
Ben Schneider.
All right, I think that's enough. Yeah, I think the argument, I disagree slightly with Branca here. What he's saying is true. However, with the facts that we know, it shouldn't apply to this case, provided that they can indeed prove that these things are correct. Now, there's also this video by Scott Schaefer where he talks about the mistakes that Ben has made, but I've already kind of mentioned them, so I don't think they're very relevant to the case. And he's got this like deal where it's like, if anyone can prove that Ben won a course case, he'll pay them like $1,000 or something. It's not really that important. So I think what we want to go into now is, first of all, I'm going to refresh us with this clip. Okay, so we're going to do a quick refresh of this 1 minute clip. It's very quick, but this is Kai, one of the 3 people that is in the lawsuit.
Hear about the Kai on the speaker.
Yeah, that's fine.
So this is Crystal. This is the previous owner.
So we're both here. So that what she's printing off is previous records from cells. Just so she has a receipt of what's in evidence, right?
Yeah, otherwise I won't know. These are ones that he has not been paid his percentage yet.
Okay, so there is money that we know that there is money obviously owed to Brian.
And if I don't have the tickets, I won't know how much I need to pay him.
Okay. So Crystal.
The guy in the white hat is Josh? That's not Josh. Josh is the bald guy. This is Kai, isn't it? I'm pretty sure these are different people. I want to say that this guy is... If we go to the complaint... Real quick. There's a third guy. So the BAM franchise. So the complaint is BAM Franchising, which is Bricks and Minifigs Delaware Corporation. Ammon is the CEO. Matthew McNeath, it may be Matthew. Josh Johnson is the bald guy. This may be Brandon, actually. This might be Brandon. Oh yeah, I think this is Brandon. Sorry, I don't know why I was saying Kai. I'm pretty sure this is Brandon on this clip here.
Ultimately, also
yeah, it is Brandon Best. Yeah.
Thing and not necessarily yours. Brandon will take.
On the phone is Kai. Okay, that clears that up. Thank you. Kai's on the phone. Yeah.
My want to go through and figure it out. So, I gave you the mailbox and the silver, and then the keys for the back storeroom. And the
Why is she married to like ZZ Top, by the way?
safe are in the safe.
Okay.
Yep.
Total is 71288.
All right. So now I guess we're going to go into the complaint by Bricks and Minifigs. And then I'm gonna compare it to the one with can I open 2 instances of this up? It's kind of weird, it's like a proton thing. Give me a second, chat. I'll be right back. I'll give you a quick bathroom break. We'll be back in like 1 minute. Where's the be right back banner? Wait. All of my be right backs are like, all right, hold on a second. Be right back. Here we go. Quick tax-free break, all right, chat? And then we'll go back and we'll go through the heavy stuff. There we go. There we go. All right. Be right back in, say, 2 minutes.
Did you hear me? It is tax free. My Zannies, my hookers, my super chats too. Hit that button, cause every single super chat I got it tax free. Tax free. Take out your pill bottles, shake your pills, shake your pills, because it's gonna be tax free. Tax free. Tax free. Tell your wiggers that we got it. Tax free in my little tin shack. Cats flying in tornadoes. Gun flopping up and down. Let's get the guns out. Gun, 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 gun. Shake it around when it's tax free. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. It's a tip, so it's tax free. But wiggle. You best not fold the bullshit because these super chats, they all tax free. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yo, Faith, don't make me say it. Squeeze. Child support, Faith, it's tax free. Compass Sneed, cause it's tax free. That's right, bitch. Now kiss my Gucci hat. I said kiss it. It's authentic, bitch. It's time to gun out. Shake your gun like you mean it. Squeeze. Welcome to the kill street. This song. Wiggle, wiggle. What you mean I'm drunk? I'm sober, bitch. Get the fuck out of here. Maybe one more. So take it.
All right, that's all you get. A great song. That's such a fantastic song. Let's continue now. All right, so I have 2 instances open now. I have both complaints. I was going to read the Bricks and Minifigs one first, but I think we're going to skim through this one. Okay, these aren't going to be exhaustive readings because I am not a law person, okay? But there are quite a few law tubers that are breaking down. I think at least the Bricks and Minifigs one, maybe not this one. Now, the important thing about this one, this is the first one. This is the one by Banff Salem. That is Crystal Law and Benjamin Gorman. Okay, it's the Gorman Rebellion versus BAM Franchising Inc. Oregon Company. So this is the first one this is the first one chronologically. Now, importantly, this was dated as March 27th. So 3 months ago, essentially, like 2-3 months ago. Okay, 2-3 months ago. I don't believe that this was ever mentioned in Reckless Ben's videos. He makes a claim that Crystal and her husband left America because of a job. Now, some people have made the claim that they left America because they thought they were under attack for their lives because they're liberals or something. So maybe they're fleeing to Canada. I don't know. I don't really care. But this is the date, March 27th. And this is what they're alleging, which is kind of crazy because it's very important detail. What the fuck are you talking about? Is this a Your Movie Sucks reference or something? Not sure. Also, Ericanius gifted a full send. All right. So here we have introduction. So this action arises from the wrongful termination of Bricks and Minifigs franchise in Salem, Oregon, and the franchisee's subsequent seizure of the franchisee's business assets and defamation of the franchise owners. Plaintiffs Crystal and Benjamin, through their company, Plaintiff Banff Salem. That's also like, I was wondering what the F stands for. I guess I just thought it'd be like badass motherfucker or something, but because it's Bricks and Minifigures, but then F, or is it Bricks and Minifigures franchise? It was FA, like, I think FE is like franchise enterprise or something, right? I'm not sure. Operating as Salem Bricks and Minifigs under the franchise agreement hereinafter. All right, let's see. On November 2024, Bricks and Minifigs, without valid cause, abruptly terminated the franchise, changed the locks, and took control of the store and its inventories. See termination letter. The purported defaults that Bricks and Minifigs used as a pretext were problems of Banff's own making and have been cured or waived. Bricks and Minifigures failed to transfer the store's bank account and property lease to plaintiffs as required, directly causing payment issues later cited as grounds for termination. Once plaintiffs discovered these problems, they worked with Bricks and Minifigures to cure them, and Bricks and Minifigures accepted reconstructed payments for many months without complaint. So this is pretty wild if true. Well, I've got to get this off. I should have got that off there. God damn it. God damn it. He doesn't know the Ralph law? Imagine that. So this is quite a sneaky thing that she is claiming, that Crystal, the store owner, is claiming, that they didn't transfer the bank accounts to the point where she couldn't pay her franchisee fee, which is something in the range of $20,000 to $40,000 that was unpaid. I'm not sure what it was monthly. And they used that to seize her location. Now, this is in complete contradiction to the story we heard in both other forums and also on the documentary, where it says that they decided that they were leaving America because her husband got a job. And again, why wasn't this not brought up? Was it just like seen as an unnecessary detail? I think it's pretty important to the story, right? Bricks and Minifigs then refused to compensate plaintiffs for the confiscated assets, effectively stealing merchandise and equipment worth over $100,000. I guess this is allegedly the Legos, so we can probably assume that about 50% of the Legos were stolen. Later, Bricks and Minifigs agents falsely told third parties that Crystal and her husband had taken certain valuable inventory, a lie that damaged plaintiff's reputation. So they're alleging that it was in fact you who took the Legos. Bricks and Minifigs demonstrates willful bad faith and malice during a takeover. And again, it does seem like they're from this video that they said that they knew about these items that were taken, because she was saying, I have to print this off so I know how much to pay Brian for that month. Bricks and Minifigs conduct demonstrates bad faith. During the takeover, a Bricks and Minifigs representative threatened to call police and warn plaintiffs he would make their lives shit if they resisted. Now, while they don't seem to have any evidence of this statement, it is in line with what we've seen in the rest of the video and the clips, where they are very quick to threaten. And like the first call, right, with Josh is like, what are you, stupid? What are you, stupid? Like, what are you talking about? They're aggressive from the very get-go, which makes it very difficult to see them as acting in good faith. Such conduct justifies an award of punitive damages. Bricks and Minifigs' own director of operations acknowledged on a recorded phone call that plaintiffs had successfully operated the franchise. You guys did a good job. You guys did the work, kept the store open. You guys should pat yourself on the back for that. Plaintiff asserts, for one, fraud in the inducement, negligent representation, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, conversion, tortious interference with economic relations, defamation, injurious falsehood, and civil conspiracy. I mean, I believe that this conspiracy thing right off the bat, because we've seen them trying to commit conspiracy live on, well, not live, but in pre-recorded videos that were hidden by the police until they were dropped by some mysterious person. Violation of Oregon Unlawful Trade Practices Act, unjust enrichment. And this is, again, what the documentary is claiming, that they stole the Legos for their own enrichment. And declaratory judgment, seeking to recover their substantial losses, compensatory and punitive damage, attorney fees, and appropriate relief. All right, let me see. Now, let me see. Parties in the franchise agreement executed on February 3rd contain a dispute resolution clause requiring the disputes are the first addressed face-to-face. Okay, this part's not as interesting to this case. We don't need to see the whole thing of this. I'm just illustrating there are some points that weren't brought up previously. Google Legally Mine LLC. Banff family was involved in sketchy legal consulting. I know that Ben brought this up, right, in his documentary. I'm gonna keep calling it documentary just as out of habit. That's very funny though. Is his company actually called Legally Mine? That's such a sketchy fucking name. Actually, it's Legally Mine, which is his argument for the Legos as well. So plaintiff seeks damages in hundreds of thousands of dollars plus punitive damages. Let me see. They waive their right to arbitrate. Don't know. This one's kind of a short one. It's only like I think it's like 40 pages. The other one's like 90 pages. We're not going to be reading 90 pages live on air tonight. That'd be ridiculous. It is owned by Amon's father. Really? Really? Let's see. Bricks and Minifigs bypassed every step of the process, which I guess is the binding arbitration. They never gave written notice proposing a face-to-face meeting, never requested mediation, never initiated arbitration. Instead, on November 14th, they dispatched a member or an agent to the Salem store who seized control of the business and changed the locks that very same evening without prior notice, without discussion, and without any attempt to follow the contractually mandated process. That does seem to be the case. Now, I want to see the metadata for the photos that Crystal took, which verify the Star Wars Legos in the store that day. If she can without a doubt prove, because she walks out the store without anything, she's just got her little rainbow bag. So they made the bag political. But if they can verify and authenticate these data stamps, because we have seen pictures of Legos, but I haven't seen the metadata. I've been assured this metadata exists, and it'd be quite a wild claim to make if they didn't have it. Because maybe their photos were taken when they were dropped off, for example. But if they can show that the metadata was taken at the same time as the store takeover, and clearly they're walking out of the store without anything, then the logical conclusion would be that the Legos were contained inside the store at that time, and then either Bricks and Minifigs as a corporation stole that Lego, or their agent, who was Brandon, took them himself. Which could be the answer here. Like there is a certain situation where maybe Joshua and Ammon are innocent, and it's all sneaky Brandon. We don't know. But then again, they have the Ring camera in the store. You would think that would show up if he was doing that. Now, they have alleged that they were moving Legos from different locations because of break-ins, but none of the break-ins occurred during this time. But the argument being that they need to move some of the merchandise to a safer location so they wouldn't get robbed by, I guess, Lego bandits or something. You heard that these bastards tried to sue their own father? That's big if true. Wouldn't surprise me. Bloodbath says, have you seen the body cam of Josh telling the cops he was sent to take over the store as a member of corporate? I have seen that, yes. Not only is he a member of corporate, but I believe he owns 3 franchises. And both him, Joshua, and Brandon, I believe, went into business to take over this location in particular. So the idea that it's like it's a franchise, they're not corporate or something, is just like kind of just nonsense, really. All right, let me see if there's anything else interesting in here as we're going through this. There's arbitration clauses. Oh, interesting. Let me see here. What is this? Moreover, Bricks and Minifigs' pervasive pre-contractual fraud, misrepresenting the franchise's financial performance, concealing knowing operation deficiencies, including inducing plaintiffs to invest over $200,000 based on false premises. Okay, that's just part of their thing. I see. I thought that 200,000 would be the Star Wars Legos. It was not. That's another thing entirely. I mean, they do seem like a shitty franchise on the face of it. Let me see. They waived any payment defaults. All right, let's see if we got anything else. They have a lot of like complaints with the various franchise operation. I want to see. Here's the jurisdiction and venue, not so important. They're seeking monetary relief exceeding $300,000. And by the way, while there is this fundraiser, this is the fundraiser for Brian and started by Ben. There's a secondary fundraiser that has been started by Chris Gorman. So this is the previous owner of the Lego store. And she's claiming they took our Lego store and life savings, help us fight back. And she's raised $69,000. And I think this came up just very recently. And her GoFundMe reads, in November of 2024, our lives were turned upside down when the corporate franchisor behind the Bricks and Minifigs store in Kaiser, Oregon, abruptly seized our business, changed the locks, confiscated our inventory, and publicly accused us of theft. After more than a year of trying to resolve this privately and professionally with corporate leadership, we were left with no choice but to file a lawsuit. And this is all before the YouTube video, although the YouTube video was already being filmed, but 3 months before the YouTube video came out. We're now seeking for help covering the costs. For nearly 2 years, we poured everything into that building and that store, serving our community. We have already invested $30,000 into legal fees and filings. I mean, this is good. This is good, though, because he's showing that she's actually putting her neck on the line here to say that what she's saying is true. It gives me more faith in her lawsuit. Look at the photos. He's on the photos. I mean, there are photos, but that's in the evidence section. What are you talking? Are you saying the photos have the metadata attached? If that's true, that's great. I would love to see that. So they have the parties, which is the 2 different companies and the franchisees owners. Let me see. General allegations. Let's see. So in February 2023, Mrs. Law and Mrs. Gorman, they're now married, so it's now Mrs. Gorman, purchased the Bricks and Minifigs franchise in Salem. Bricks and Minifigs had actively solicited this purchase. Crystal was employed as a general manager of the Salem store, and then Bricks and So she was already the general manager, and then they approached her about buying the franchise based on a successful management of this location. Now, according to some of the things we heard tonight, they were claiming that they were meth addicts and that they were having pigeons shitting on the Lego bricks, which doesn't seem to be true. The total purchase price under the business agreement was $65,000, allocated approximately as follows. There was $41,000 worth of inventory, fixtures and furnishing, $13,000, $5,000 franchise transfer fee. Purchase price was $20,000 paid in closing in cash, with the remaining $45,000 was evidenced by promissory note with 2% interest, and monthly payments of roughly $1,000 starting in March. Okay. Failure to transfer. So this is their major claim and why they were used to close down their franchise. Shortly after the sale closed, Bricks and Minifigs failed to fulfill its obligations to properly transfer the store's bank account and assign the store's lease to the plaintiff's LLC. These were not administrative oversights. They were fundamental obligations without which the franchise could not operate the business. Without control of the bank account, plaintiffs could not make the automated payments required under the franchisee agreement. Without the lease in their name, plaintiffs had no direct relationship with the landlord and no ability to ensure rent was paid. Bricks and Minifigs' failure to complete these transfers was the first material breach of the franchise agreement and the proximate cause of every subsequent default that Bricks and Minifigs later cited as grounds for termination. Bricks and Minifigs did not return the bank documentation needed to change account ownership, causing the account to be frozen without plaintiff's knowledge. As a result, ultimate payments to the franchise royalties and for the remaining purchase price was not withdrawn as scheduled. Similarly, because Bricks and Minifigs never assigned the store's lease to the BAMP Salem LLC, the landlord notices of bounced, I guess this is franchise agreement rent payments. Oh no, sorry, ACH rent payments went to BAM and the tenant of record, not the plaintiffs. Bricks and Minifigs did not properly inform plaintiffs of these issues, effectively concealing the problem until it had compounded. Plaintiffs thus could not pay rent through no fault of their own. The lease was not in their name, the bank accounts were frozen, the party responsible for both failures, Bricks and Minifigs, kept plaintiffs in the dark. I mean, they would know that the rent was being paid though, right? Like surely after the first month you'd be worrying about this and trying to get in contact with them. Once problems came to light, plaintiffs worked with Bricks and Minifigs to rectify the results. Bricks and Minifigs finally completed the bank transfer. The account was reactivated, and the parties agreed to a reconstructed payment schedule to for the missed royalties and purchase installments. Plaintiffs made the reconstructed payments, and then Bricks and Minifigs accepted them for many months without complaint or without notice of continuing default. I mean, I assume they can prove all of this, which is a great thing to show that they were already not doing a good job as the franchise corporate. Let's see, wrongful termination and seizure of the store. In early November of 2024, Mrs. Law informed Bricks and Minifigs that she and Mr. Gorman were considering locating abroad and inquired generally about the process to sell and have the franchise be purchased. Okay, so this part is true. They were planning to move abroad. So the store being seized was not the impetus for them moving. This was the preliminary inquiry. No formal notice of sale or termination was given. Plaintiffs never gave notice or any intention to terminate. So they're just inquiring about it and then they just showed up in the dark? That's a bit weird, if true. Sounds like most of the collection wasn't sold. It sounds like half of it was sold to me. I mean, it's still $100,000 that's potentially on the bill. And again, these there's like a range that these things can sell. Like they have the listed price and the high price. So there might be a degree of haggling, and we know that the way that Bricks and Minifigs operates is they offer you store credit and things like that. So maybe that would be the why there wouldn't be like a certain number. It's like the final number after the sale would be determined. In a recorded phone call on the evening of, okay, that's good, recorded, that's great. In the evening of November 14th, Bricks and Minifigs Director of Operations, Kai McAllister, so that's guy on the phone, so there was a Kai, yeah, confirmed the termination was precipitated by Mrs. Law's inquiry. That's a weird thing to happen. McAllister started, that's Kai. Crystal did not reach out to us to talk to you guys. Crystal did reach out to us and talk about you guys moving out of the country, and I wanted to know like what would happen before that. So we did. What we did is we sat down our end and looked at the something relationship we have with you guys and where all the outstanding balances and everything. When Mrs. Gorman observed that the participating event for this was reached out, and said, we are considering moving, and that got the whole ball rolling. McAllister initially denied it, but Gorman responded, pretty sure this is what you just said. At the time of termination, the franchise was operating with multiple employees. Payroll records from the morning after seizure show that 3 employees had worked a combined 43 hours and 12 minutes during the week of November 4th, with a total payroll costing $611, including taxes. The franchise was a going concern with payroll obligations when they terminated it. In response, Mrs. Laura's inquiry, Bricks and Minifigs scheduled a meeting for Thursday morning on November 14th. During the record meeting, Bricks and Minifigs representatives discussed what they had characterized as mutual separation, in which the store would revert to corporate, and said that the individual connected to Eugene, Oregon franchise location, would come in to inspect the store. Bricks and Minifigs said nothing during this meeting about its intent to immediately terminate the franchise and seize the store. Instead, they used this meeting to lull plaintiffs into cooperation while simultaneously preparing an ambush-style takeover that occurred the same evening. I mean, that's big if true. Bricks and Minifigs' response was unexpectedly aggressive. On November 14th, the appointed representative arrived in Salem store unannounced after business hours. And they see Exhibit D. That's probably the recording, right? He claimed the franchise was being terminated immediately and demanded the store keys. The representative was Kai, director of operations. Ring security footage from the store's register show that McAllister inside the store at 7 p.m. on November 14th, going through the items in the counter. The camera continued to detect persons in the store until at least 8:34 p.m., establishing that the seizure operation lasted at minimum 82 minutes. The representative threatened to call police if plaintiffs did not comply. He threatened that if they attempted to resist or fight back, he would make their lives shit. Is there a recording of this? Like, this is allegedly there is a camera in the store, but I haven't seen this clip. We have seen a very normal takeover. Like this is all very normal. This is at 7-Eleven. This is the Ring camera from the register, so it's like the register camera. There's probably other cameras in the store, especially since there's been thefts at this location before. There was a phone recording. Can we access that? Faced with this ultimatum and unexpected threats, plaintiff felt they had no choice but to yield the keys under duress. It doesn't sound like they're under duress though when they're doing this. It seems like very normal. That's the issue that I'm having with this. There is like a big gap missing here. If we look at the timestamps, you have 7-Eleven is the beginning, and then it skips to 8:06. All right, let me see. When Mr. Gorman asked whether McAllister had authority to negotiate the termination terms, McAllister responded, "I don't have the authority to make changes to that contract, and with no authority to make changes to the contract, would make changes to that contract." Not. And that contract would make changes to that. Okay. Bricks and Minifigs thus presented plaintiffs with a non-negotiable take it or leave it ultimatum backed by explicit threats. That same evening, Bricks and Minifigs changed the locks and took possession of the store, including all inventory, fixtures, equipment, cash on hand, business records. The next day, November 15th, Mrs. Law was required to surrender additional keys to the store safe combination to the representative. Actually, let me just check something quickly. This is the same day, right? This one's 14th? Okay, that's good. That's the same. Let's see. Ring doorbell also captured Mrs. Law identifying each key, the mailbox key, the storeroom key. Wait, this is the next day, November 15th? Isn't this? But she talks about the keys in this part here. This is the 14th. All right.
Are in the safe.
Okay. She's just mentioning the keys. That's fine. That's fine. All right, let me see. The formal notice of immediate termination was not delivered until several hours after the agent was already physically present at the store. I wonder if that's a violation of the franchisee agreement. The agent arrived and began the takeover without any written notice. The chronologically demonstrates that termination was occurred before the formal notice existed. Indeed, while Bricks and Minifigs' agent was physically inside the store, the plaintiffs were frantically photographing inventory to document what was being taken. So this is allegedly the photographs of the Star Wars Legos, I believe, as well as anything else that they may have had. There may have been other consignment deals at the same time. This is just the most popularized one. Mrs. Law stated on video, and I still haven't. You might want to let them know and send an email confirming the termination notice. The alleged breaches listed in the termination failure letter were failure to timely pay royalties, approximately $25,000, rent, approximately $23,000, the remaining franchise purchase balance, approximately $48,000. These were the very payment issues that they knew resulted from its own failure to transfer bank accounts and lease, issues that had already been addressed through reconstructed payment arrangements. I mean, this does sound pretty fucking sus. What? Cog was in a Branca show? Is that true? I haven't seen that. Oh, Cog. Let me see. Simultaneously with the physical takeover, Bricks and Minifigs revoked plaintiffs' access to all electronic business records. And this part's really important here. So they revoked plaintiffs' access to all electronic business records systems, including franchise email accounts, Slack communication platforms, inventory tracking spreadsheets maintained in Google Sheets. So this would be the point where it's going to be difficult to prove whether or not they had the Legos on hand. However, I would imagine that Brian would be able to determine what was sold or not up to at least 1 month away, because he would have received payment for the things that were stolen. I mean, maybe, sorry, not stolen, sold. Bookkeeping and accounting software, as well as other operational platforms. This wholesale revocation destroyed plaintiffs' ability to process, preserve, or document their own business records. Records that Bricks and Minifigs had since selectively cited in correspondence to support its version of events while refusing to provide complete copies to plaintiffs. Bricks and Minifigs' selective preservation and production of electronically stored information combined with revocation of plaintiffs' access to those same records has deprived plaintiffs of the ability to verify Bricks and Minifigs' post-termination claims or access to records necessary to support their own. Plaintiff reserves the right to seek all appropriate remedies and handling of electronically stored information. Well, this will have to come up in discovery, and that's going to be very fucking interesting, isn't it? Okay, so there's some other stuff here, which I don't think we need to see. Wait, further evidence of collusion. The Salem Bricks and Minifigs website was configured so that its Shop Now button redirected customers to the Eugene franchise location. So they're alleging that the other location was planning a very hostile takeover? Or they were planning this in ahead. I guess they're planning this ahead. They also failed to return the promissory note executed by plaintiffs as part of the original franchise purchase, despite seizing all franchise assets in purported satisfaction of amount owed. They never provided any confirmation the note had been satisfied. Refusal to compensate plaintiffs. In the termination letter, Bricks and Minifigs demanded the plaintiff adhere to post-termination obligations and offered to waive approximately $97,000 in claimed amounts if plaintiffs agreed to surrender all assets. Okay, actually, I got to reread this part. They demanded the plaintiffs adhere to post-termination obligations and offered to waive the approximately $97,000 in claimed amounts if plaintiff agreed to surrender all assets and release any claims to Bricks and Minifigs. So it's like they're like, be a real shame if you had to pay this $97,000. Why don't you just give us everything? That's pretty fucking slimy if true. Let me see. So they offered them fair market value. I mean, I doubt that. All right. All right, here's the Brian Mansell. So the co-assignment of the Lego. So this is section E. At the time of the takeover, the Salem store held certain high-value Lego sets that were not owned by the store. These sets, consisting primarily of retired, sealed Star Wars sets that are among the rarest and most valuable Lego products in existence. Okay, so when they say retired, I mean, I assume that means that you can't buy these anymore. They're no longer made. So it's like limited edition, never removed from box, special Lego sets. That's why they're so high value. These belong to a third-party collector, Brian Mansell, who co-signed them to the store for sale. Aha, here we go. Here's some information that I want to see. Under a written consignment agreement, the collection comprised of over 780 sets and 1,200 minifigures, with an original aggregate value of $250,000. Before the takeover, roughly half of the collection had been sold and the proceeds paid to Mr. Mansell. So that's an important detail that I've been looking for all night. Is he's already been paid out approximately $120,000, but the store is still holding approximately $100,000 worth of assets. leaving consigned inventory in the store at the time of the seizure worth approximately $100,000 to $125,000. The collection owned subsequently prepared handwritten inventory list documenting each consignment by the Lego item number. So that's a very big. Okay, so yeah, that, I mean, it's a big fucking deal. It's $100,000. Obviously, the full sum of $200,000 is kind of like a little bit clickbaity for Ben's video, but he's already mentioned that. Like, he hasn't hidden the fact. I remember hearing that on one of the videos. They meant too many. Check Discord. All right, I'll check Discord briefly. What's this? Former Bricks and Minifigs thing. Okay. All right, I'll check that out in a second. I'll open this one up though for it. Well, I guess we'll leave this right now. Give me a break from reading. This is from Charlie, Moist Charlie.
Now, the former owner of the Bricks and
It's a long
Minifigs
clip.
that kind of kicked off this entire thing, the Powder Keg, has come forward to give her side of things, and she provides some evidence that is damning to Bricks and Minifigs. This corporation is just downright evil, it seems.
They told us the same thing they told Brian Mansell, that we could fight them, but they would drag it out and make it so expensive we would be putting ourselves into a whole lot of shit. Their words. Here's their executive product manager and director of operations, Kai McAllister, on the phone with us the night they took the store.
If we go the legal route.
Okay, this is... They actually have the phone call? Oh, no. Oh, no. Let's fucking go. Let's get some bees in the chat.
It's going to be a very expensive battle for you, and it's not going to be a good position for you guys to get into. There's not a whole lot of options for you. If you want to go the legal route, it's just going to be a mess, and it's going to be expensive for you.
Yeah, so why not consider talking with us rather than leaping to this?
We jumped on the call with Crystal this morning.
And you talked with her or you talked at her?
We talked at her. If you fight this, then you're putting yourself into a whole lot of shit.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Like, I was gonna say that this sounded like a little bit silly, but then they just like, yeah, we talked at her. We told her what we wanted to say.
Sounds like a threat, and I can acknowledge you feeling that because in a way it is.
Sid from
Oh no, not like this.
Toy Story here, Kai McAllister on the phone, on the horn, directly making these threats. And again, this is the Bricks and Minifigs classic. This is their John Madden playbook, and they don't deviate from it.
Notice, that's not some franchisee. That's corporate. They want to pretend they're not involved, but they've been involved every step of the way.
Of course, this was a nightmare. We were about to move and now had our life savings taken from us. Eventually, we were able to find a lawyer to represent us in Utah, where BAM is headquartered.
We tried to negotiate with BAM.
Just notice this guy's literally got devil horns.
Just as they threatened, they dragged everything out and refused to even offer a settlement.
They claim they own the store so they can take it, and also that they never owned the store in between taking it from us and selling it to Brandon Best and Josh Johnson. It can't be both. They claim in their newest public statement that it's all our fault they took Brian Mansell's father's collection because they don't allow consignments. The franchise agreement expressly allows consignment, in contradiction of their newest statement.
That feels like the dagger. That feels like it is just case closed and kaput. Franchisee may also offer consignment services. And now they're here saying, no, we don't do that. This is a very big company. It's not some like tiny little bespoke company, you know. Bricks and Minifigs is huge. They do multiple millions of dollars a year in revenue. And
I mean, their company's assets, I think, are valued at $400 million. And they have over 300 locations in America. So it's pretty big for pretty fucking big company.
now they have run their reputation into the shitter over this here. Anyone who even talks about it now has been threatened. There is another group of YouTubers that also received threatening litigation from Bricks and Minifigs. This company is just untrustworthy, it's shady, and no sensible person should be doing business with them under any circumstances based on everything that's now come to light about them. Now,
wow, that's a surprisingly good video from Charlie. What a surprise. Bubba Fat with a 5 says, per M&R Productions, who talked to Brian, Brian was only paid $19,000 from her? Wait, what? So allegedly they sold $100,000 worth of product and he's only received $20,000? I mean, I guess it's possible that $80,000 was sold in that last month, but that's a mighty unfortunate situation if true. I have to go back and this. I have to check all the details and all the things. Like this story's there's so much to it. And Duriel with a 5 says, kind of sad to see the default judgment never occurred. Yeah, I mean it's a kind of a mistake on their part, but it does make for good television. All right, so let's continue with this, and then we're going to take a look. Then we'll take a look at the court records. Although you know what, I'll take a brief moment to mention the Dragon's Treasure. If you need some delicious tea while you're waking up and watching this meme morning stream, consider buying some Dragon's Treasure tea using code COPE to save 10% off of your order. There's a special offer at the moment for me that if I sell more tea than Sean, I get more money, okay? So get criminal savings, winky face, by using code COPE on the dragonstreasure.com. There you go. This quick little tea shill for you. No, get criminal savings by using code COPE. Don't use code criminal. That's not a real code. See, even Sean says it's code COPE, okay? It's real code. All right, let me see. So let's see. So approximately $100,000 was left in the store. The collection's owner subsequently prepared handwritten inventory list documenting each consignment letter by Lego item number, organized by month of consignment, and verified the inventory with a signed attestation regarding verified above his signature, Brian Mansell, confirming the specific sets had been placed at the Salem store on consignment. Bricks and Minifigs agents seized these consigned items within the store and others' inventory, despite having no ownership relationship whatsoever. Bricks and Minifigs agent Kai stated clearly in a recorded communication, it's so fucking base that they actually got this recorded, on the night of the takeover that BAMP's corporate office is assuming responsibility for the consignment, an admission that BAMP knowingly took custody of property that they knew it belonged to the third party and accepted the obligation attended to that custody. The day after the takeover, Mrs. Law tried to address the outstanding consignment obligations with a representative. In recorded conversation, this must be the one we just heard from Charlie, Mrs. Law said the consignment collection owner has not been paid his percentage yet. And if I don't have, this is the other one. And if I don't have my tickets, I won't know how much I need to pay. BAM's representative dismissed her concern, stating, Crystal, ultimately, that's a business thing, not necessarily you, as Brandon will take and be taking on the business. He takes all that kind of liability. BAM thus knowingly disregarded the third-party consignment obligations Miss Law had placed identifying tags and stickers on every consigned item to track it separately from the store's inventory. That's very good. And like, this is what I was saying, is that I would think they would have a dedicated list and a way to know which is their store property and which is not their inventory. It's just good business sense. She also maintained video documentation of the tagged items. After the takeover, the new operators systematically removed all of Mrs. Law's identifying tags from the consigned items. If they can prove this, then I don't see how Bricks and Minifigs can recover from that. Conduct evidencing an intent to convert all collections and conceal its separate ownership. In addition to the consignment collection, BAM can seize customer layaway items that belong to neither the store nor the Bricks and Minifigs corporate. Photographs taken during the takeover document. Well, I mean, with layaway items, you don't technically own them until you pay them off in full, right? I'm not sure how it works in America. The way it works where I'm from, we have lay-by. At least this is when I bought Lego as a child. Is you pay a certain amount of money to the store and they keep it for you, like in the back or whatever. And when you finally pay it off, they'll finally return it to you, or you can get your money back for it if you can't afford it, sort of thing. So that means they would be stealing not only money from. Well, they would be stealing money from the people that had put money towards this layaway, right? Is that how it works? I mean, there's potential for a class action lawsuit if there's quite a few people that had layaway items. I mean, there's at least a half dozen. Maybe not class action, but like multiple small claims at least. Like they did in the video, but with different people. Because there was multiple people listed as layaway on the court documents in the Exhibit B. Layaway is the same? Okay, that's good. It's good to know. I assumed it was. Let's see. Photographs taken during the takeover document Lego Star Wars sorts with handwritten notes saying hold for Walker and layaway with a price of $450, as well as a retired Lego Ewok Village set valued at several $100s, marked with a pink layaway note. Those items were being held for specific companies who had paid deposits. BAM's seizure of the customer's layaway property further demonstrates the indiscriminate nature of taking BAM's willful disregard for third-party property. Well, if they've already paid a deposit, then they need to find these people and get them in on this. That'd be like a slam dunk. Making matters worse, Bricks and Minifigs agents of the new franchise operators later told the collector's owners and others that Mrs. Law had taken or stolen the consigned sets during the transition. I mean, she's seen walking out of this with just a little bag, right? Like when she's leaving, you can see she's just carrying this one little rainbow bag. Very unlikely she's got multiple Lego sets in there. Unless it's like a Doctor Who magical bag or some shit. A bag of holding 10 or something, I don't know. This statement is demonstrably false, as they had taken possession in sets and they had never asked Mrs. Law for them. A video captured during the operator said they had just called corporate in Utah and was told by the principal that these making accusations against the law, false statements with us, not independent rogue franchises directed. Okay. Defamatory statements. False statement to the collection owner accusing Miss Law of taking property she did not take. Okay. There's a bunch of other things, but I'm going to skip through some of this because I want to get to the other one. Reports of similar conduct involving other Oregon franchisees. Interesting. On information and belief that Bricks and Minifigs' conduct towards the plaintiffs is not isolated, in written correspondence to the Lego CEO, the consignment collection owner, Brian Mansell, a pattern up here in Oregon of seizing stores to steal assets. So wait, is this actually the one simple trick to steal Lego from people? Is to just let people take over as franchises, wait until they fill up with consignments, and then just seize the store? They can't keep getting away with it, chat. As well as a recent, seizing stores to steal assets in the Kaiser and Canby locations. So at least 2 other instances potentially this happened. As well as a recent event involving over $200,000 in Lego product being stolen and resold in Springfield, Oregon. Springfield. The pattern of similar conduct is relevant to their BAM's intent and motive to support plaintiffs' claim for punitive damages. Summary of wrongful conduct. Okay, so this is just like what we've gone through already. I think we can go to the next one. Damages, they're seeking about $300,000. There's the causes of action. What is this? It's just some various stuff. Hold on a second. Let me just get to the end. Let me get to the end of this document. All right. I don't think we need to read the rest of this. I think we've got a good sense of what's happening. I want to take a look at some of the exhibits if they do have anything interesting there. Let's see. Okay, there's all the actions. And this is from, and this was, I guess, this complaint was submitted on March 27th, which again is like 3 months ago. So Exhibit A is email from Lego customer service confirming no affiliation between Lego Group and Bricks and Minifigs. Now, they have claimed that they were, I think, a licensed reseller. Franchise agreement, that's just the basic franchise agreement. Business purchase agreement and promissory note. Notice of immediate termination. Franchise disclosures. Okay, so these aren't that interesting. All right, so we can skip over, I think, to the next one. We got Podlucky with a 200 Czechoslovakian coins. Tommy C's cat just subscribed as well. All my precious Lego pieces were eaten by the vacuum cleaner, same as my Bitcoin, eaten by Microsoft Disk Defragmenter. I defragmented my computer like yesterday. Is this like something that kids don't know how to do these days? Because like most people are using solid state drives at this point, I think. Well, I mean, not everyone, but most people run their operating system on a solid state drive, right? Which like they don't really need to be defragmented anytime, I believe. But like my drive was like 4% fragmented. Is that bad or good? I don't know. It seems like a low number. I remember when I was a kid that like dad would set up the defragmenter and he's like, okay, kids, you can't use a computer for 2 days. This is back when we were on MS-DOS. And there was a really cool like defragment screen where it's like all these little red boxes that were like flashing and they would turn green. And this is like back in the old, like this is in the 90s. And I remember watching the defragment screen and saying like, oh, it's so science it is. Oh, I love this. It's just like the Matrix that wasn't released yet at that point. Okay, some people remember. If you remember the defragmenter screen. Okay, old man. Fuck off. I'm not that old. I'm still in my 30s, chat. At least for the remainder of most of this year. All right, so we have, this is the complaint that was filed by Bricks and Minifigs. Let me see. This was like today, dated. Okay, so this is a few days ago. So this is May 27th, 2026. He's old, and this is 90 pages, 90 fucking pages long. So we're going to be skimming a lot of this. By the way, Tommy C's cat, I haven't taken my stop hating Tommy C pills today, so I hope you're okay as a cat. If you're anything like H.P. Lovecraft's cat, then I'll like you. So the plaintiffs are Bricks and Minifigs, LLC, or sorry, Incorporated, not LLC, a Delaware corporation. Ammon, and by the way, Ammon is such a villain name. This motherfucker has his Dr. Robotnik mustache and the name Ammon, which is basically like a devil's name. I'm just going to put this out here. I'm pretty sure he's a demon. Although, strangely enough, the previous owner of the store did actually literally have horns, which is kind of funny. So that is Ammon, who's the CEO. You have Matthew McNeef, Josh Johnson, who we've seen today, Brandon Best, and Baker Bricks, LLC, a Utah limited liability company, and doing business as Salem Baker Bricks, Incorporated, an Oregon corporation, versus the defendants, Ben Schneider, who is Reckless Ben, Brian Mansell, an individual, that's the owner of the Legos, Victor Nguyen, I believe that is the friend of Reckless Ben, let's call it, I don't know, business partner. It's the Asian guy in the videos, okay? He's in a lot of the videos. I don't know. There's nothing, not that there's anything wrong with having an Asian business partner, okay? And then also 15 John Does, or John and Jane Does. All right. So here and after the plaintiffs is Bam, Ammon, Matthew, Josh and Brandon, Baker and Salem Baker, and the plaintiffs, they're the plaintiffs. And the defendants are Schneider, Reckless Ben, Brian, Victor, and co-defendants. Defrag is still on Windows? Yeah, I know, but it's the screen is shit now. It's not cool like it used to be. There used to be like all these little blocks that would be like yellow or green or red if they were like defragmented or fragmented, and you could defrag them and you would go through and everything was like very cool. All right, let's get into this. We can skip kind of the jurisdiction. They're doing this in Utah. It's just some background on the case. Oh, the crystal is mentioned here actually as well. Let's skip down to general allegations. So Bricks and Minifigs, which I'll just say BAM because it's easier to read that, is a corporate franchisor of National Bricks and Minifigs franchise system, which grants private, they are very liberal with their underlining of the word private in this document, I've noticed. Maybe they use find and replace, I don't know. Franchises to independent and authorized operators of retail stores throughout the United States, specializing in the purchases, sale, and trade of Lego products, including new, used, and collectible minifigures and sets. Ammon and Matthew are owners, executive officers, and principals of BAM, with Ammon serving as chief executive officer. The McNeefs, with other owners, have invested substantial time, resources, and capital in developing and protecting the Minifigs brand, goodwill, and franchise throughout the system. Well, they didn't do a good enough job, eh? Okay, so this is just mentioning who everyone is. Probably don't need to read that, actually. Private dispute between Crystal and Benjamin. Crystal was initially employed as a BAM-owned entity and or corporate employee, store manager for BAM, then subsidiary in Salem, Oregon. During her tenure, she expressed interest in becoming a private franchisee as the owner with her husband. I think this is in comparison what she said. She said that she was reached out by them, right? Like they reached out and asked her if she wanted to become a franchisee. This seems like it'd be a very easy thing to prove with email conversations if they just have any records of those. Although maybe they're on the work computers or something. About owning the store, they agreed to the proposed private franchise affiliation and purchase transaction with BAM's established franchise agreement. Franchise agreement is the FA. Well, they FA'd for sure. The FAs are confirmed, and we're currently in the FO stage. And we have the business asset purchase agreement is APA, which is also the name of a hotel in Japan. All right, let me see. Let's go down this. Buyer, Crystal and Benjamin shall indemnify and hold harmless seller, BAM, from any against pay or reserve fellows any cost, loss, damage, or liabilities, including attorney fees, suffered by a seller to extent of resulting from, arising from, incurred from, liabilities by arising out of, relating to, connection with any claims brought. Okay, so I guess that's their argument for saying they're not going to have to deal with the consignment. But that's kind of nonsense if you just walk in and take everything in the store and then refuse to let them check the inventory, and then you lock them out from checking the inventory as well. All right, let me see. So they've highlighted these sections in their LLC agreement. You agree that your store will use and or offer only services, products, and merchandise as set forth in the operating manual as or otherwise approved by us and may be periodically modified by us in our sole discretion. Franchise owners that franchise is required to sell and use only approved products, suppliers, vendors, and suppliers, but they are allowed to do consignments. And it's just like, it is Lego. It's not like these were fake Legos or anything. This is ridiculous. Can we just use Grok to use a summary of this? No, this is the problem of the world. Okay. Sometimes you have to go through and read things. Did I read this one? You should watch the M&R production video. Start about 1845 in. You will hear the $19,000 claim. Okay, I'll put a pin in this one. Thank you very much for that, Boba Fett. I'll check in that. Wait, did I just miss one? No, I wrote that. Sorry, I was a little bit focused on these things. So I want to make sure I didn't miss anyone's chats. Sometimes I get a little bit tunnel visioned, you know. All right, let's bring this back up and bring this back up. Okay. Let's see. So despite foregoing plan requirements, Crystal and Ben materially breached their obligations as required APA payments were not completed. Now they're claiming, of course, that this was because they weren't given control of the bank accounts. Franchise royalty payments became delinquent and lease and various accounts were never properly transferred and lease amounts were unpaid. Crystal's outstanding contractual obligation amounted eventually exceeding amount of $175,000. It's interesting that the money they allegedly owe Bricks and Minifigs is very similar to the sum of Legos that was allegedly stolen by the company. Bit funny how that works. In the early fall of 2024, Benjamin accepted work overseas, and Crystal advised Bam that she intended to close the store and abandon the franchise operations altogether. Well, according to her, what she said is they were inquiring about doing that, including a stating effective date for such closure as December 2024. She did not have the right to do so under the the franchise agreement. They notified her that this was not appropriate. Based on the foregoing uncured breaches and anticipatory repudiation, they sent a notice of immediate termination. Crystal, okay. All right. Not so important to read this part. All right, here's a part about the Legos. Prior to any and all the time of the repossession, BAM's representative, Brandon, conducted an informal and video inventory of Salem's LL fixtures and inventory. While he did not locate or identify any product that was identified or co-signed or not owned by Salem LLC, he conducted that the maximum value of any residual inventory was less than $38,000. I mean, but we know when they value their own shit, they give you like a 20% valuation, between 5 and 20%. As based by that video by the guy that brought in like the little sets. I mean, obviously this is a joke, but it is funny that's kind of the same amount. Less than $5,000 worth of Lego Star Wars product that could be located and identified in the entire residual Salem on-site inventory. Identified there too, BAM requested access to the copies of all relevant business records that were provided by Salem, which Crystal and Benjamin refused to provide. This just sounds like bullshit, including inventory reports, agreements, and financial statements. This just sounds like bullshit because she was literally printing out the inventory while they were being taken over. I just don't believe this. Undisclosed and unauthorized consignment agreement. Upon information and belief during her tenure as a franchisee, or about the 11th of the 22nd, 2023, Crystal entered into an undisclosed and unauthorized private consignment arrangement with, well, it was through the store. Arrangement with Brian or his aging father, Eric, allegedly relating to the inventory of alleged Lego collectible sets. As purported but unsigned, a purported but unsigned written consignment agreement is attached. Well, I mean, surely they have the signed contract, though. This is just ridiculous. This is the unsigned one is just the one they have in their records, which is between Brian and Bricks and Minifigs, Salem, Kaiser. Plaintiff do not have a copy of the signed. Wait, this is a big fucking claim to make. Plaintiffs do not have a signed copy, though Brian has alleged it was signed in. Where is the Reckless Ben video? Am I just hallucinating that I saw a signed document? Surely they have a signed document. That's a pretty bold fucking statement to make. What do you think, chat? Press X to doubt or If this is true and honest, press 1. Let me see. Reckless Ben. I felt certain that I saw a signed contract. I mean, maybe not. I'm just going to have a quick look at Ben's video. This is Ben's video.
This man spent his life.
I remember seeing a contract in some part of this video, right? When it was zooming past the screen, did it show? This is the inventory.
This guy his money and his stuff back.
But right after they started, they instantly stopped working on this case. So I called one of them to find out why. Out here inventory.
Is this the...
I printed out a copy of the contract. The
All right, so they've got a printed copy here. Consignment agreement.
store made with Brian saying that all of these Lego sets will remain his until sold. Because I have a contract, legal reason to be here, legally this does not count as...
By the way, there's no excuse for this date being 2019 when it's not 2019. This is an absolute L by Reckless Ben. All he had to do was zoom in this screen by 5% and then just move this off screen or just blur it out. I mean, it's fine you didn't know how to use the spyglass camera, but like, you can't be having dates on screen and things like this when it's wrong, because this is actually what's happening. Is this is in 2024.
Harassment. Instead, the manager should be checking the store's inventory to see if these sets are still in their store.
Also, here's
at that point.
Bricks and Minifigs knows that this family, especially with the father's health, doesn't have the resources to take them to court.
Right, maybe I hallucinated seeing a signed document in this video. All right. I would imagine that they do have a signed document. If they don't have a signed document or it got lost or something, that's a big fucking L. You would think there'd be a photographed copy of this. Now, of course, they are alleging that they've been taken, they took away access from all of the records and everything. So I guess they could make that argument, but you'd think that Brian would have. There's no way. Surely there's no way Brian doesn't have a contract that's signed for $200,000 worth of merchandise. All right, let me see. At the time or until present, Bricks was not and has never known or legally recognized entity. Crystal is personally liable for the terms of the consignment agreement. I'm not sure if that's true. Could be though. Don't call me Shirley. Okay. Importantly, the purported consignment agreement, Section V, Crystal agreed and warranted that she had purchased insurance sufficient to cover the loss or damage of the Star Wars Legos and agreed that they store the Legos in a manner customary in the industry to prevent damage, acknowledging she shall be responsible for all shortages, loss, and damage to the Star Wars Legos while in her control. Regarding the arrangement of the store, Brian has described the arrangement as follows. When Eric Mansell decided it was time to divest, he turned to his son, Brian Mansell. Brian knew more about his father's comic books and baseball cards collection, but didn't feel confident in the knowledge of the Lego secondary market. He saw the sign for the Bricks and Minifigs store while passing on the North River Road, came in and asked the store owner, Crystal Law, if she could help. Crystal told him that even if she couldn't sell the collection, I would help him figure out how much it was worth because I didn't want him to get ripped off. Well, it didn't turn out very well. And I think that's why he trusted me. The entire collection will be sold through the store, but they first wanted to put it on display so the public can see it in its entirety. Okay, that actually is an interesting detail. Because I was wondering like why this wasn't being sold for like all this time. They've had it for about a year. But if they're just displaying like the rare Lego sets and the rare figurines, so people come in, it's like it's like lending a valuable item to a museum, basically. And these are valuable items. The collection will be on display in the store's party room from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. on Saturday, November 11th until 11th on Sunday. The collection will be available for sale immediately, so the best time for pictures will be Saturday morning. The collection will not be stored on site after hours. The collection will not be stored on site for security reasons. That's an interesting detail. It'll be stored elsewhere. I mean, if that's true. But this saying that the Lego was not at the store goes in the face of the evidence that they have photographs that they allegedly have metadata for that show that there was Lego sets in the store at the time where Brandon took over the lease. So this is just for that one day in particular. This is November 11th. It's not going to be every day. Although maybe they didn't have the entire set in the store at the one time, but they allegedly sold over $100,000 worth of it. So I assume they brought in pieces of it as space was available. Okay, let's see. Upon formal... Wait, sorry. No, let's go back a second. See informal transcript of collecting weekly YouTube video entitled Help a Fellow Collector Get. This is the original video, basically, which all started all, I believe. Reference but not shown by Schneider. Upon information and belief, Brian and or Crystal initially valued the alleged consignment collection in the range of $80,000, which was later reduced by its cost value of $30,000 or less, or $60,000. I don't know. I feel like this is bullshit because, like, yeah, he had to pay money for it, but they still have the value of what's being sold by it. So, like, what I think what they're saying here is that, like, they've got all this Lego. Like, you've got a $200 Lego mini Star Wars figurine or something. It's worth $200, but you spent $100 for it, so its value is actually $100 or something. I think that's what they're saying. That's kind of silly, in my opinion, because you're still going to sell it as a marked up price, probably higher than $200, because it's like these are like limited edition / retired pieces. Let's see. You'd think that, suppose $200,000, someone would come up with a couple $100 to pay a lawyer and look it over. That is an issue, honestly. Like, I have to admit that they did cheap out on the lawyer, and this may have cost them on the back end, because I think I've seen several lawyers say that when they looked over the consignment agreement, it looked like it was made by being printed off of Google. And that doesn't absolve them of the theft of the Legos, but it is like a bit of a woe buddy for something that's so much value. You would think you'd at least get someone to properly notarize and record everything that was all the assets that the store was taking control of. That is a bit of a blunder, but like, I can understand that people do it. They're like, let's not get the lawyers involved. You seem like a nice young girl. You were trying to save me money on this. I trust you. Like, no, just don't do that. It's just bad business. But I mean, people do make those mistakes all the time. Let's see. Upon information and belief. Upon information and belief, Crystal or Salem LLC sold part of the consigned inventory and paid Brian for such. Salem LLC or Crystal had ample time to sell the consigned inventory during approximately 1 year period. Well, I mean, you never know when someone wants to spend $1,000 on Lego. This is not necessarily true. This is like a silly thing to say. I mean, it takes a long time to sell $200,000 worth of Lego, surely. Such sale activities have never been reported or accounted for with Bricks and Minifigures. Well, there should be sale records. They don't have access to that, though, because you locked them out of the system. Not that she would have access to the system forever going forward, but like, these should exist. And if they've deleted such evidence, that's going to be very bad for them. Crystal failed or refused to pay Brandon monies that may have been due to him under the consignment agreement. Now, this may be accurate, but it may be the case that she was preparing to pay him at the time of the seizure, because apparently Brian only got like $20,000 worth, is what apparently this super chat says, which we'll check out after we go through this document. As of noted on or about 11th of August, wait, this is American time. How do I read this? So it's 2024. Is it August 11th or is it the 8th of November? I assume this is American retardation, so it's probably the 11th. It's probably the 8th of November. Crystal informed BAM corporate leadership that the partner had accepted employment overseas and she intended to close the store. It's got to be American, right? Yeah, here it is, 11. God damn it. The American system is just silly. Why do Americans have to be so silly? November 8th, I see. Let's see. So this is when they take over the store. That's their side of the argument. Bona fide repossession, acquisition of stored assets and lease. Following its lawful termination and cause for repossession, they acquired the store's assets as a bona fide purchaser for value. Well, that's not true based on the showing up and just seizing everything. Without actual or constructive notice of any third party right or no, they were given notice. They were given notice. That's now, while they do say in the video that they accept it, they don't necessarily have to accept a fraudulent agreement. So they're aware of this, but they didn't necessarily accept it. Now, I believe that they should be legally responsible for the accepting of this. However, I just want to make that point that people are saying, well, he said he accepted it, so that means he, well, I mean, provided it's a legal consignment, obviously. But I mean, I don't feel like we have to mention that. Well, I did mention it, so. Let's see. On or about the first quarter of 2024, Josh and Brandon agreed to clean up, manage, and operate the store in Salem, which was subsequently sold and transferred. Wait a second. I missed a part here. As Crystal, Benjamin, or Salem purported under closed consignment agreement, they took... Okay, there we go. But they're missing, there's a date here that they haven't mentioned, which is when, I believe the day after, Brian comes in and tries to get his Legos back. That's on, I think, very much the day after. because Crystal would have notified him that this was going on. In or about the first quarter, they agreed to clean it up. In the first quarter of 2025, they completed a sale to Baker, Salem, Josh, and Brandon, who became the new franchisees. And in connection therewithin, they entered into the franchise agreement with BAM. Brian demands return. Okay, so I guess this is the part here. Okay. Within 24 to 48 hours of Crystal's termination in November, Brian called the store and asked for Crystal. Brandon answered and explained Crystal and Salem had abandoned the store and were no longer involved. Brandon claimed he had a consignment arrangement with the store of some sort, and Crystal and Salem had stated that she had not paid him monies and that were due from the sales. Josh and Brandon were skeptical. Brandon explained the need for evidence of any ownership that he may have. Brian showed up later that day and began yelling at personnel and holding up a purported consignment agreement paperwork, demanding an immediate return thereof or a payment of $80,000. Josh interceded and asked to review it, but briefly did so and pointed out that neither BAM were a party to this purported agreement. He also then claimed he had a purported inventory list. Brandon and Josh invited him to review the limited number of Lego sets on display, which were in BAM's corporate-owned store at that time. When Brandon could not identify any Lego sets on his purported list, he accused Josh of lying and was told to leave. He left in anger. Well, I mean, they could have moved the Lego out of the store at that time. They abandoned the store, absolute lie. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this doesn't match up with what we've heard from the recordings. It is so strange and funny that Josh was accepting all these calls with these YouTubers because he incriminates himself several times. Like at one point, he even agrees to hand over the Legos back to them. Now, obviously, he was just dicking them around to try and get them off his back so he could continue to do whatever he wanted to do. But it's going to be difficult to show if it's admissible. Okay. Brian's purported inventory list he later provided Josh and Brandon all after May was problematic in that it was not complete and did not have the value data for every listed item. Well, I mean, it does have value data for every item. It's just not whether or not they've been sold or not. If you actually go to the documents, I mean, I've already got this one open. So if I go to the documents on this one, it literally does have the value of everything, or at least the expected value. This one, right? Yeah, they've got if you look up here, here you go. They have information of whether or not it's been sold, upcoming. So if it's like a layaway or something, you have the cost. Oops. You have the cost, the low value and the high value and the actual sale price. This is kind of crazy. Like this, he bought an Elite Clone Trooper Commando Battle Pack for $15 and he sold it for $150. He made a 10x on that Lego sale. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. All right, where were we? I'll move this over here so I can find it easily. Brandon briefly investigated whether any consignment product might exist in the boxes in the back or elsewhere in the store and concluded none existed. He was confirmed by two personal staff who had previously worked for Crystal. Brian returned later that evening after closing with the police and accused Josh and Brandon of theft, which they denied. Josh and Brandon informed the police that BAM had repossessed the store and they were unaware of and not parties to any consignment agreement, did not knowingly possess any of his alleged property. When Brian became belligerent, he was escorted off the premises by police officers who concluded that this was a private civil matter with Brian had insufficient evidence of ownership. Thereafter, and for the period of months, Brian directly and indirectly harassed Josh and Brandon at the personnel at the Baker Salem, made threats of physical injury to the employees, including in a one-person death threat. I don't believe this. Like, fuck off. Lodged police complaints, posted negative reviews, and incited others to post negatively online comments. Contacted a podcast, which he later led to Brian. This is Reckless Ben's involvement. Josh reported these incidents to police, who cautioned care but did not charge Brian for unknown reasons. Upon information and belief, Brian attempted to obtain payment from Salem LLC, Christmas and Benjamin, but was unsuccessful. Crystal claimed she had no money to pay him for sales of allegedly co-signed product. Many months later, in the fall of 2025, and only after Baker Seller entered into its business asset appropriation, Brennan gained access to Salem LLC's archived and incomplete POS accounting system, which he discovered identified Lego Star Wars lot sets and regular slots inventory sales. The inventory sales distinction was unclear to Brandon and Josh, as Crystal had never managed to explain their significance, if anything. But Brandon, much later in 2020, discovered a potentially 300 lot per. That's about half. That makes sense. for an estimated value of $46,000, and 300 purchases of lots for an estimated value of $12,000 that occurred in 2023. He could still not confirm whether or not the specific products sold. A copy of this informal audit and recent discovery, including purported inventory list, was provided by Brandon in on May 2025. That's Exhibit B. That's the Lego sets. Okay. Conspiracy formation enterprise engaging in unlawful activities. Okay, so this is when he claims that he's hiring Ben, I guess. I'm not sure. Actually, I wonder if they actually make this claim in this lawsuit. That'd be a wild claim to make, that he hired Ben to work for him and he would pay him some money. Upon information and belief, though they had no legitimate legal recourse or evidence upon which to file a claim, Crystal, Benjamin, and Brian conspired inter alia, threaten, intimidate, extort, and defraud plaintiffs in any possible way, as detailed herein, including a formation of an enterprise to engage in wrongful activities. As an initial step, Salem LLC caused a legal demand letter to be sent to BAM, variously alleging it had been damaged in the termination of its franchise agreement with a private business matter between Crystal and Salem. Instead, upon information and belief of the furtherance of such threats, Crystal, Benjamin, and Brian learned of Schneider and his communicate. Schneider is, of course, Reckless Ben, whereby they provide information regarding their unsupported claims against Benjamin or Baker Salem and or BAM. Together with 15 John Does, they conspired to intentionally maliciously, fraudulently, and illegally threaten them, extort, harass, profiteer, interfere, and damage plaintiffs in furtherance with their enterprise, including base. I mean, they did literally say they were going to break the law. So this is, I guess, correct that they did enter into these intentional, yes, malicious, yes, fraudulent. That's arguable, and illegally. Well, I mean, to be fair, they did do it, but they were forced to. Okay. And again, this is the biggest criticism I guess you can levy against Ben, is that he had to use the tools of his enemy, crime, to get this entire thing noticed. It's old news, maybe. Give me a real quick. Raw Quarter Pounder just gifted a sub. How's it going, Raw Jeremy? Or Raw Quarter Pounder? I guess that's the Kick equivalent, right? How was the quartering stream today? Did he stream at all? How's that going over on Kick? Of course, I wanted to take a break from the Jeremy stuff. There is more Jeremy stuff. There is more lolcow stuff, but I needed a bit of a break. This Lego thing is just the distraction that I needed. He got felted. I mean, must be a day ending in Y, right? It was terrible as usual. I mean, I don't know what I expected. Oh my goodness. Poor old Jeremy's actually having a fucking stroke. Just see, like, hold on a sec. We need a quick palette cleanser with this Jeremy clip. I'll have it real quick for you. Oh, by the way, apparently it's the 30-year anniversary of Evangelion, and I went to the convenience store yesterday, and you have the Sapporo beer is now Ava themed, and I'm like, it's been 30 fucking years. It's been 30 fucking years and people are still arguing about best girl. We know it's Misato, okay? It's time to stop. It's time to fucking stop. All right, but that's just a side tangent. Here's the one. Here's the Jeremy clip. This one's so crazy. Well, this is the beginning of his fucking video.
Well,
this is how you click on a Jeremy video. This is how it starts.
Well, things are not looking for a socialist loser, Zoran Mamdani in New York, and leave a like if you're totally not surprised.
Why wouldn't you just re-record the beginning?
Well, things are not looking for
socialist. Leave a like.
Socialist loser.
Losers.
Zoran.
Stroke question mark? Drugs question mark? Yes, maybe. That'll be in the next time we cover Jeremy. All right, let me see. Where were we? All right. So they co-defendants engage in multiple episodes of unlawful activities. I mean, this is true. They did commit crimes in the pursuit of getting this man's Legos back, but it's based. Crime is now based. Okay. Let's see. So here they've got their evidences. Like, here's the problem, and this is a big, like, I think that there's so much evidence. Like, if they can prove the things that they've said, that they have evidence of these photos with timestamps, metadata that can be verified independently by the court or by a court expert that shows that these Lego items were inside the store at the time of the store being taken over, then they've got Bricks and Minifigs dead to right. But then you've got, like, imagine some boomer judge. He looked through this document and he sees this thing where it's a literal screen cap from their video that says we have to do something illegal. It's gonna be an uphill battle, and you've got to imagine that the lawyer that's defending them is going to be just putting his head down and sighing and going, "Fuck my life," because there's so many things that they've done, particularly stating that they're going to do illegal things, but also the things like the fraudulent signature acquiring with the packages. Okay, that's like, you can't do that. Now, the lottery thing was very funny, I have to admit. And I thought they might have something there. But on reflection, the reason, like, it seems kind of obvious that Ben gave that $1,000 to the family that won the lottery because he wanted to make sure he wasn't putting himself into any hot water there. And maybe he did save his ass with that $1,000 payment to that family because, like, if they knew that they couldn't get the Legos from the store, then they were engaging in lottery fraud. Now, of course, they were intentionally making lottery fraud for one of the parties because they wanted to make this a criminal matter, which would force the police to enter into this, into the conversation. So I guess they've succeeded. So it's all going according to plan, but they're playing fast and loose, and I'm very concerned about it. I'm not trying to black pill people. I'm not trying to black pill people. I'm just have my concerns, and I really want to see these people held, or I want to see justice done in the situation, okay? Yeah, there's a bit of a Freudian slip there, perhaps. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. He can't talk. He's like, we just look at one Jeremy clip and it just infects you. It's like, that's what's happening. He's reckless. All right. So then there's some evidences of the YouTube as well as the Patreon. And they're really going after this Patreon. Wonder if they've subscribed to his Patreon. I've got arrested investigating a Lego store. Got all the exhibits here. Let's see. Okay, so as evidenced by this video, it began early 2025 and continuing that date thereof for a substantial period of time, and with the discreet and indirect support and encouragement of Brian, Crystal, and Benjamin Schneider, and the Schneider Group began targeting the Baker Salem store to unlawfully shake them down and extort monies. I mean, they kind of did extort them, but it does seem very likely that they had the Legos, so I'm not too upset with that. I mean, can you really be mad when people fight fire with fire? It's wrong to break the law, chat. Well, I mean, I don't agree with that. It's wrong to break the law if the law is just. I don't just believe that something's a law, then it's justified to follow it. That's some bullshit. That's some following orders bullshit. Laws have to be based on morality, in my opinion. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's go down a bit. See if there's anything. Does the lawsuit have a Lego to stand on? Very funny. Okay. This is one of the ridiculous things they have in here. If you just want to give it back now, it's going to be a lot easier for you guys, you know. I think you guys would prefer the easy way or the hard way. The choice is yours. I don't think you guys are really going to like it. I mean, this is kind of extortion language. It's not going to look good in court. The implied depiction of the threatened violence associated with the hard way is an explosion at BAM's corporate head. Like, no one believes that they're going to fucking blow up the Bricks and Minifigs location. That's ridiculous. Let's see. Impersonating of a Guinness World Records. Nobody cares. Fraud, deceit, impersonation, forgery through false documents. Like this is a crime. You can't do this. And Schneider incorrectly says, so that's Reckless Ben. Reckless Ben incorrectly says that you have a duty to read your contracts. That is true if you know that you're signing the right contract. You can't do the old switcheroo and then go, whoopsie daisies, you forgot to read the document. That's not how it works. You know, I can't just go up to you and say that this is a contract to start working for me, and then you're engaging into some sort of sector style pornography contract. That's not legal, right? That'd be fraud. And there's actually some jail time attached to this, I believe. Like men are like maybe 5-10 years, something like that. It's a serious thing that they did here. It's very ballsy and very reckless. Didn't Ralph try to do that to Skull? I don't know about that. Probably. So this is I really don't like this, that they did this in the video. And I remember when I was watching, I was like, ooh, you can't be doing this. Like, okay, this is that's the document where it's like, if you can't trespass him for 5 years, and they're actually documenting him committing this crime of like falsifying this fraudulent UPS dude. Oh Lord, he's a coming. But it was, well, that's the thing. That's the thing, is that in everything that Ben has done, he's been very funny. And we all know that the funny thing is the right and true thing to do. So he's clearly innocent of everything. Like, Ben's behavior is definitely a kamikaze attack. So he may very well get the Legos back or get Brian his money, but he may go down in the wreckage as a result. So, I mean, he's definitely ballsy, we'll say that. You gotta respect that. All right, this is that document, which is it's not enforceable. And I think Ben has got to cope where he says that, like, because he didn't try to enforce his contract, then clearly he can't be held liable for it. You do not have to try and enforce a fraudulent contract to be committing fraud. Although he does try and enforce his contract by tricking this woman with it when she's like, oh, that's not my signature, which is a very funny part of the video. But, and when she was lying, it was her signature, but she's just not liable for that because she didn't knowingly sign that contract. Now, this is the raffle. The raffle was very funny. And by the way, while again, this is very funny, the We Steal From Old People is the company name, and the Bricks and Minifigs, the TM is up here. That's not good. There's a lot of problems with this. You can't just steal people's, like, this is trademark infringement. It is funny the way that he said it, but like this would never hold up. It's just funny. And again, that's the point. The point is to cause distress, and the point is to cause friction to force them into handing over the Legos. We Steal From Old People t-shirt. If he actually went to Mexico knowingly he had a warrant next time, he definitely won't get bail. Well, the warrant he's got out for his arrest doesn't have bail anyway. So I guess he may as well do that, right? I mean, I'm not sure if there's additional charges you can get by evading that, but Lego don't fold the bullshit. All right, so there's them committing more crimes, vandalizing. Although it's just a flag, though, to be honest. I mean, and you can't show up side of someone's house, sorry, their place of business, and try and pretend you're them to sell fake merchandise. Like, there are so many crimes they actually committed in this, which is kind of, I gotta say, it's pretty base and funny. However, I really hope this doesn't sink the case for them. That would be a crying shame if they actually got away with this because of these shenanigans, we'll call them. Let me see. All right, so there's a lot of stuff here. I want to go to that video that was suggested next. I'm just going through this to see if there's anything. Only Ralph is allowed to do this? Well, there you go. All right, so here you have the inventory. This is from Crystal. And there's the video. GoFundMe solicitation. I want to check this part out, though. What is the... Let's see. Crystal recklessly and without proof of... I mean, it's hard for me to trust Crystal, but she spells her name without an I. I'm not a fan of the Crystal with a CHRYSTAL. Crystal recklessly and without proof discussing and misrepresenting private business dispute with Bam while speaking with Schneider, and further providing Schneider with security footage to aid Schneider. And I mean, if there's nothing to be afraid of, what are you worried about the camera footage coming out? GoFundMe solicitation. As recently as this past week, Crystal set up a GoFundMe account, as confirmed in her Instagram post, using a now viral hashtag #RecklessBen, among others, and stating, "So my face has gone a little bit viral, etc. Help us fight back. They took our Lego store." And this was, wow, they got a really early screenshot. They screenshot this when $90 was raised. Now, this is obviously up to, let's refresh this and see if there's been any more donations. Are they over 70,000? They're up to $71,000. They got the they must have been following her like immediately. That's crazy. Before the first people were even donators, less than 1%. BAM won't recover from this. Well, that's the thing. There's really no path to victory, I think, for Bricks and Minifigs. They'll never repair their goodwill. And then never, I mean, people will still do business with them, sure, because not everyone pays attention to the internet or what's going on in the cultural zeitgeist. But the idea that they can go forward without millions of dollars worth of damages is frankly ridiculous. So, like, they're only really fighting to drag people down with them, which they could succeed. There isn't everybody lose situation in this. The Fork police might get out of this with just being corrupt and nobody's paying attention, but they can take down Crystal and they can take down Ben and Brian. Although, actually, you know what? They can't take down. Well, Crystal is suing them. Let me take some of these out. Okay, so Bam is suing Brian. Crystal's suing Bam. Crystal could lose this, so she could actually lose big than this one, and they could lose big. So everybody can lose, but Bam can't win at the moment, as I see it. They should have just paid. Well, yeah, any reasonable business person would look at the facts of the case and say like this, okay, just give them $70,000 worth of Lego or some shit. They could have even found items from other stores to make up the list. They've already, like, this lawsuit alone will cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not to mention the reputational damage and potential liabilities that they face. Now, if they do succeed, like if the judge looks at all the shenanigans that Ben does and goes, oh, all right, this is just there's obviously like a wanker doing some admitting to literal crimes, and gives them like summary judgment, they could potentially like sue Ben for millions of dollars, because I think they're asking for twice as much damages, right? Okay, so let's see. Ongoing reputational harm. They're calling us thieves. They're saying you took the levers. This is a cover-up. Let's see. Life ruination. I wanted to see if they had the thing that Amon claimed to the police that Ben was taking money from Brian to do this for him, but that's not the case. Now, there was some money changing hands, but that was just part of their YouTube shenanigans. That wasn't an actual payment. All right. Co-defendants engaged in criminal simulation by, among other things, creating, distributing, and honoring fake and unauthorized raffle tickets. Well, look, you raffle, you ruse. All right, deceptive business practices. I think we've seen the bulk of what we need to see from this. I'm just going through. I'm just having a quick sticky peek. Third class of action. Plaintiffs incorporated the foregoing allegations set her in. Ben should just file a $33.3 million punitive damage suit for false police reports. I mean, yeah, he could, I guess. You know what's crazy? Is Patrick Tomlinson just received like a judgment for like $500,000 from all of the stalker stuff. Like people were like, the stalker children were sending like, I guess, swatting or something, and the police didn't do enough damage to prevent that from happening. So Patrick Tomlinson just won $500,000 fucking dollars from the stalker children. It's an absolute Patrick Tomlinson victory, as I understand it. How could that fucking happen? How could it happen? It's all going in reverse. Christiana's got like a Finnish girlfriend. Tomlinson's getting money from. You never know, chat. You never know. I'll have to check in with Patrick Tomlinson at one point and see what actually is going on there. Because that is it's fucking wild. But I mean, he's just going to waste the money anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right. Okay, I'm just having a quick look. Sixth course of action. Foregoing allegations. Try not to leave too much dead air. I want to go to a video next because I'm tired of looking at this white screen and reading. But I think we've covered everything, more or less. I've got a corporation with Frenchies, and our specialty is messing. Isn't this French? Shouldn't this be franchisees? I think this is supposed to be franchisees. Because he made a corporation, then he had like 20 franchisees that were just doing their shenanigans. I think this is a mistake. The Frenchies. Did they say Frenchies or franchisees? I feel like that's a typographical error or something. Yeah, it's the segment. Maybe I should just play the Jeremy clip while I scroll through this. That'd actually be a very good idea. Because then I can claim there's no dead air while I'm actually just doing dead airing. Injunctive relief. All right, actually, you know what? I'm going to go up a bit because there is that important detail, I think, in one of these things. Injunctive relief. Plaintiffs incorporate the following allegations and thoroughly set forth. Co-defendants conspired together intentionally to maliciously engage in misconduct. Recycled dead air jet. Exactly. It's the infinite dead air glitch. Plaintiffs are entitled to immediate entry of a temporary restraining order, preliminary and permanent injunctive relief against co-defendants, their employees, making, transmitting, soliciting, encouraging death bomb threats. Like, okay, so this one here, I thought this was just wild, but allegedly Reckless Ben is going to substantiate this with evidence that the store, either Josh, Amon, maybe Kai, or Brandon, are sending in death threats against themselves, claiming to be Schneider, which is crazy. But if he can prove it, that's going to be an absolute fucking wild curveball. If he can show that they've actually been trying to, hey, Bricks and Minifigs, what you doing? That would be, they should have just released those episodes as soon as possible. Publisher uncovers other, let's see, no, wait, I want to see the part, I believe there's a part in here about, okay, so they're asking him not to delete anything. Preservation demand, that's pretty standard. Election of discovery tier. Prayer for relief. Okay. Injunctive relief be entered, including a temporary restraining order, preliminary injunction, prevent them from acting or transmitting, soliciting, encouraging further death, bomb, or threats, physical harm. Entering, can't go anywhere near them. I want to see the part about the GoFundMe in particular, and also the Patreon. Let's see. Plaintiffs have acquired rights in assets of Salem in accordance with the governing contracts and applicable laws. Plaintiffs are neither parties to or have contract duties with there. Let's see. Verification. I'm pretty sure there's a part in this where they ask to... Well, one of the things that they're asking as a remedy is that they want him to stop using YouTube and Patreon. I remember seeing that when I went through this when I was passing it. But we're going to go to this video that was brought up by Bubba Fat. M&R production video. M&R production video. Where is this? M&R production video. That actually might be hard to find. I might need more specific. M&R Productions. Okay, this is the Lego one. I assume, hopefully he just has one video about this story. This is the thing here. M&R Productions. This might be the end of Bricks and Minifigs. This is surely the one. And go to 1845.
Get back the Lego!
All right, we got a Ricky Berwick jump scare. Okay, very good. Oh my goodness, my computer's seizing up, or my thing's lagging for a second. Oh, I think it's because of my vidIQ. All right, just give me a second.
Brick by brick!
What is up, studs, and welcome to
There we
Ask
go.
M&R
Now
episode
it's working.
407, the Bricks and Minifigs special. Yeah, that's right. We're talking
Oh my
about the
goodness,
Lego
come on.
scandal this entire video, and things have gotten
Oh my goodness,
absolutely insane.
This is getting out of hand.
I think since the last time I recorded, Bricks
I
and
can't
Minifigs released
stop
their
it. I've
official
lost
statement,
control.
which
All right, there we go. There we go. For some reason, my Firefox is fucking up. Apparently, everyone recommends me to get rid of it. Give me a real... This is just a bit of a boomer tech issues chat. Okay. And now it's like, it's all fucking... It's fucked. It's fucked, chat. All right. Copy this and put it into a Chrome tab. How about that? Surely Chrome won't betray us.
Get back the Lego! Brick by
There we go. Now it's working. Okay.
brick! Get back the Lego!
Brick by brick.
What is up, studs, and welcome.
All right, there we go. We just had to see that in its entirety. Now, 1845. 1845. We'll go to 1838.
Even shut them down, and they promptly left the country. And this has been a big question to me. Bricks and Minifigs does claim that Crystal was massively in debt to them, I believe to the tune of $175,000. So the motive could be there for Crystal to have needed some extra money for this or that, because per her own lawsuit, she claims that, quote, before the takeover, roughly half of the collection had been sold and the proceeds paid to Mr. Mansell, or Brian, leaving consigned inventory in the store at the time of Bam's seizure worth approximately $100,000 to $125,000. Now, like I said in the last question, I was able to talk to the Bricks and Minifigs CEO, which I am in this case glad I did, because it allows me to corroborate information like this. We have Brian and Eamon, the two complete opposite ends of the spectrum here in the Lego scandal, and they both basically told me the same thing, that Brian had been paid about $19,000 on what Brian said was $27,000 to $28,000 in sales at the store, which...
How many times a week were you at the gym getting ready for this trip?
I wasn't. Tai Chi walking.
Mad muscles.
Minutes a day at home.
It's a mad muscles warning.
Is not half of 100.
How do they get that?
To $125,000. I don't know if you guys can do math, but if Brian were paid according to what Crystal claims half is, he should have been paid about $65,000 to $81,250, not $19,000. So there's a big discrepancy there that I am really interested to see play out in court. Suppose I should also mention that the spreadsheet that we see of Brian's inventory, and it has all the sets there, it does not include the minifigs. Apparently there was a solid number of minifigs worth quite a sizable amount of money as well that was part of this consignment deal, but those have no ability to track, no ability to see. So I don't know enough about the minifigs to speak on them, but yeah, to say that they might be worth a significant amount more on top of the sets that we see seems like it could be the case. Next from Brad, he says, even if the original owner at BAM shouldn't have entered a consignment, that doesn't mean that the new owners and corporate have the rights to keep the collection. Maybe this was in my original take before I did my second take, but I use an analogy to say that effectively, let's say Joe Schmo down the street owns the McDonald's, and then I go and buy the McDonald's from him. I don't then just get to tell the landlord who Joe Schmo is paying rent to that I no longer owe you rent, landlord. I didn't agree to your rental agreement, so now I own this entire building and this property, and it's mine by eminent domain or squatters' rights or whatever.
I think a better analogy would be like if you take over a McDonald's franchisees and the previous owner leaves their coat in the store, you don't own their coat. I think that would be a better way to describe this. Now, of course, it doesn't necessarily match up perfectly because you do find McDonald's, like McDonald's sells burgers. It would be like other burgers, but people don't co-sign burgers to fucking McDonald's, so whatever.
That's not how it works. Yes, of course, BAM shouldn't now just own the consigned collection, even if Crystal wasn't.
Yeah, like... It's a ridiculous statement to think that they just get to own all the Legos. So this is entirely going to cut. Both of these lawsuits are going to directly come down to if they can prove there was Legos in the store at the time they were relinquishing the keys. If they can do that, it's a slam dunk for Ben and also Crystal. If they can't do that, it's going to be a little bit tricky in my opinion, and potentially life destruction level of counter lawsuit. That's what's on the table here. It's serious fucking business.
Supposed to do a consignment deal, which I have seen people say, how could BAM Corporate not have known? And I please show me if I am wrong, but I don't believe in all of the posts that Crystal made or the Bricks and Minifigs store made about this collection, it ever claims that it was here on consignment. It just says, hey, we have this big collection that we got in and we're selling it, right? So I don't think there was a way corporate could have known at the time that it was a consigned deal outside of what Rod had mentioned to me, which seems very logical to me to think, wherein if you are BAM Corporate and you know this owner owes you a ton of money and all of a sudden they're claiming to have brought in a $200,000 collection, you'd think you'd want to at least say like, hey, you know, want to make sure you're good here, that you're not doing it the wrong way or whatever, right? So maybe some question marks should have been raised right then and there that could have avoided.
Well, what Crystal's claiming is that they were like, there's only Crystal must have this whole recording, right? Like this is like 80 minutes worth of recordings, but they've only released this 1 minute where you see the branding guy coming in and then also Crystal leaving. Allegedly in this recording, they threaten to call police if she doesn't just hand over the keys straight away. They need to release the entire recording. Now, maybe she doesn't want to show it for some certain reason or liability reasons. I feel at this point you have to show everything. Because if she did not have this recording, how could she have possibly shown it to Ben? So just release everything. Like stop drip feeding. Stop doing all this. It's frustrating.
Did a lot of this, but of course they were not. Now, Crystal did post part of her contract with BAM in her TikTok comments about.
Yeah, that's actually. I would say that's a pretty good analogy. If a landlord, you rent an unfurnished house, the landlord decides to change the tenants, they don't get to keep your furniture. Exactly.
Week ago, and part of it says that additionally, the franchisee may offer consignment services along with a bunch of other stuff there. And this, to me, as soon as I read it, I was like, okay, Bricks and Minifigs is lying here. It says clear as day that store owners can offer consignment services and whatever. are you doing? The case closed. Why are we having any argument about can they do consignment? Can they not do consignment? Bricks and Minifigs claims that in the employee handbook, which is a separate thing from this, it says very clearly that you cannot do consignment deals, and that this is specifically in reference to something else like consigning food services or something.
Bruh.
And the CEO went on the A Couple of Brickheads podcast live and said this.
The consignments aren't allowed in the agreement, but there was some language around they were, and it was something about offsite or whatever it was. There's a little bit of terminology regards
consignment
Can you see how
services.
somebody could, did you see how somebody could conflate that, or absolutely not?
Not really. No. In fact, that specific paragraph specifically talks about two different sections. One is about product, and the other is about services. It's very, very clear in the agreement.
I don't know about you, but I, as a normal person reading that and not being too well versed in legalese, could be pretty easily confused into thinking that I can do consignment deals as a Bricks and Minifigs franchisee. Now, again, I don't have that separate handbook in front of me that maybe says I can't, and maybe if you read that, you would know pretty clear as day that you can't do it, and that is actually referencing something else. But the way that reads to me is
Go to timestamp 1224 when he talks about the value of the sets in the store. Okay. 1220.
that's on
Fuck, I'm never beating the allegations.
Brian's list that were not sold out were still on shelves, some of which we see in the back room.
I was framed. I was framed by this timestamp.
Photo allegedly by Crystal the night of the takeover, and then we have 50 in the back room.
All right, so these are the photos that are allegedly timestamped, and they have, I believe, these stickers mean like the differences, right? So like the yellow sticker differentiates this from the store property. Importantly,
Photo allegedly by Crystal the night of the takeover.
all right, is that the same guy? Because I was asking for metadata. However, is this what he was wearing? It looks the same, right? That's the same. That's the same outfit. So you got blue jeans and a fatty heat tech thing. Yeah, that's him. Yeah, that's him. That's him. Okay, that for me is enough. I mean, obviously they're going to have timestamps that they're going to have to show the court. That's pretty fucking damning. That you've got the guy on the night. She's not walking out with these sets. There's like quite a lot of sets here. And they've got this sticker that they've mentioned in their lawsuit. This is really good. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we fucking got him. We fucking got him.
And then we have 54 out of 72 slots, so about 75% of what we see on the shelves could have been Brian's on 12/29/2024. Again, if that video date is correct and if that inventory is Brian's, but I think statistically it feels super unlikely that many sets would just so happen to match Brian's list. Oh, right. I also figured out what the approximate value was at the time by using Brian's inventory list, which on the right side has a number that I believe is supposed to mostly correlate to the actual price of the set in store, which it doesn't because the Battle Lance Luke is $100 in the picture from Crystal where you can see the yellow sticker denoting that it's Brian, and that does match up, versus Obi-Wan's Interceptor, which says 150 on the spreadsheet but is only 130 on the sticker in the store there on the night of the takeover. But using those numbers, I came to about $11,485. So that's about the value of the inventory at Bricks and Minifigs retail. But even so, we can see on the shelves here a bunch of inventory that matches Brian's list. In similar inventory, according to BAM's lawsuit, wasn't sold under Crystal's tenure and during Brian's.
And this is after the store was taken over, and this is part of the video where they say that they started showing a bunch of Lego stuff.
Consignment at the store. And this evidence here is exactly why I want Bricks and Minifigs to release the sales data for the store for the 6 or so weeks following the corporate takeover of the store. Because if the sets are on shelves...
Consignment contract was a 65% cut? It's fucking criminal. Wait, 65% to the store?
On 12/29, as we see there, if that is legitimate video from that date, that would mean for the prior 6 weeks, they could have been...
All right, here we have a metadata. November 14th, 2024, 7:54 p.m., which matches up with the time.
Selling inventory that, in my estimation, is very likely to have been Brian's, and those 6 weeks just so happen to be some of, if not the busiest of the year, including Black Friday and your...
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. Because I was like saying, like, it's a bit weird that there wasn't so much. I mean, there was like this huge amount of money that was owed to Brian. But yeah, if you're selling Lego in November, December, people are buying it for Christmas, of course. Yeah. I could imagine that would be their biggest month by like could be 50, 60, 70% of their revenue that 1 month alone.
Or Christmas rush. So a lot of inventory theoretically could
Good
have been
point.
sold during this time period. And all that is to build into the what is false section of their statement here, where they say, quote, neither corporate nor the incoming owners, Josh Johnson and Brandon Best, ever took, sold, or concealed this collection. Detailed inventory logs evidence that any collector items were already missing before we ever stepped foot inside. Which I don't know how they can say that if we have a picture where it shows
Not falling for this, Laszlo. You're not going to get me.
one of the new guys that came in from corporate standing right behind a picture of the sets with the yellow sticker that would have been Brian's, according to Crystal and Brian. I just cannot wrap my head around this statement. We have the 12/29 video showing tons of inventory on the walls, matching inventory that Brian allegedly had. We got pictures allegedly taken the night of the takeover where we can even see the guy in the background wearing the exact same outfit that show that inventory along with him in the back.
This is a good point as well. Since most of these sets are discontinued, it's not like every store would have these things on their shelves.
Around 12 minutes before she walks out of the store on the Ring camera. Like, I'm at a loss for words. It is unbelievable to see this level of like incompetence in just accepting the reality of the situation, wherein you can see the pictures and the video and come to a conclusion for yourself. Again, unless they are somehow claiming that in those 12 minutes, Crystal took all of those sets out of the back of the store and just took them. But then why wouldn't they say that and show that video? Like, I don't know. So to me, and I think 99.9% of the online community becomes pretty cut and dry here, that the inventory, at least some of the inventory was there. Now, whether or not Crystal sold a bunch of the inventory before.
Yeah, it's still not impossible that Crystal had an off-site location where the rest of the Lego was located, because it's such a large location that maybe they just couldn't fit everything into the store. And this is one of the things that Bricks and Minifigs alleges. Now, was this secondary storage location part of the franchise agreement, location, or key set? We don't know. It's possible that Brian was robbed by both Bricks and Minifigs and also by this Crystal chick, although it seems unlikely. I just want to put that out there as a possibility.
Beforehand and didn't report that to Brian. That's what Bam is claiming, and that's still on the table. You know what? We're going to save that topic because it's actually somebody's question. So let's go ahead and get into the questions from y'all and statements. And the first one comes from Chris Landry, who says, did he get his Legos back? The simple answer to this one, of course, is no, he did not get his Legos back. And to me, it seems like he never will get his Legos back. In my opinion, the Lego sets have very likely been sold and no longer exist. Now, again, one of the big questions that's going to get played out in court is who exactly sold the sets and where did they go? But I don't think there's like a Bricks and Minifigs vault somewhere that has a $200,000 Lego Star Wars collection that they just have to give back to him. That's not, I think, the resolution that we are going to see here in this situation. Obviously, like I've been showing, we have Crystal's pictures allegedly from the night of. We have the video that's allegedly from 12/29, and then we have this image from a Google review that shows the store like 7 months ago, so about a year after all the rest of this kerfuffle had gone down that I was talking about there. And in that picture, you can see the Star Wars inventory looks nothing like it did a year ago.
Yeah, these are all new Star Wars shit. I mean, you've got like the baby Grogu over here. This looks like the one from Mando, maybe? No, wait. Maybe it's like Andor. They've got like the old-fashioned Star Wars Episode 1 here, though, I guess.
Before. And so, yes, what did happen to those Lego sets? Well, again, perhaps they took off all of the sets because they were able.
All right, so here's the previous one. You've got like, these really old ones.
To find that small remnant of sets, and that's probably where the rest of whatever was left on the shelves did go, is that they have held that estimated between $2,000 to $5,000 off to the side as that open offer to Brian to give back to him. But again, that doesn't make him whole, and in taking that offer, he probably gives up his right to get anything else out of the situation that
apparently 65-35 is a common split. I don't think, if I own that Lego, I don't think I could do that. I wouldn't take that deal.
Believes and is probably owed here. So there's a lot of issues with that there. Next from Christian, he says, this is the only question the CEO needs to answer. Is it true that Brian still owns the Legos? And I don't think there's any reason to believe that. I don't think there's any evidence to show that. So I don't know why that's even a question for the CEO. Next, the fact that the situation became so much worse that Ben literally had to run to Mexico for his life is just insane. Yeah, if you have not watched part two is honestly probably crazier than part one because of the police involvement and everything that's going to drag into this. I think I mentioned earlier in the video that the police have responded to this. I have not watched the actual police response video, but it's kind of...
This video was fucking wild. All right, chat. I think that's the bulk of everything for tonight, or this morning for me. Apparently part 3 is coming out, and in part 3 there is going to be all of the bomb threats apparently that is being made by the Lego company pretending to be Brian. I am going to go Ralph and Ben team up, and yeah, that's in part 3 and 4. It gets fucking crazy in part 4. All right, I'm going to check out for the night, I think, and I'm going to go watch an episode of Clarkson's Farm, which the season 5's out now. It's my farming slop. I love it. It's great. It helps me chill out. No dinos today. I got some work to do tomorrow, but there will be some gaming streams probably this weekend. So you can look forward to that. No more Lego drama. Like every time the Lego drama comes out, we're going to be covering this until the end of this times, okay? I love this Lego story. I was very concerned. I'm going to be honest. I was very concerned when I was reviewing these court documents. However, with the new information coming to light of Crystal's lawsuit in particular, and also the metadata photos showing Lego on the premises in the same time that the location was being taken from, I feel like they do still have a slam dunk case against Bricks and Minifigs. However, I am of course worried that the shenanigans caused by the YouTubers could potentially result in a default judgment. There's always a case if you just get the wrong judge. That's an issue that happens. So we'll have to see. Hopefully, justice will prevail, and this piece of shit company gets what they fucking deserve. All right, chat. The last thing I'll say to you is, let's go out with one of these Max clips. See ya, chat. I'm out.